Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Out in the holler where the secrets creep, garbage can dudes digging mighty deep. Secret societies, shadows in the pines. Operation GCD of American rebels design. Double J searching deep in his brain hole, past layers of melted hops and bone resin. From cults to cover-ups, we're talking about all of that. So watch your sixth friend and the truth we trust. The world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Join us on the journey and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us to get a little GCD. Yeah, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo coats haunt the moon's pale beam. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Hell, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze.
Boom! Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here, coming at you live from my studio / RV dining room, located directly inside America. Oh, nice. Yeah, Heidi's awesome people. That's awesome. Tell her thank you for that. No, it's great stuff. Appreciate it there. Anyhow, welcome back, folks, to the interwebs. Once again, JJ Vance here, host of Operation GCD, and perhaps more notably, not the vice president. And keeping it sus 24/7. Thank you, Lucy Morningstar, Princess of Darkness. And anyhow, folks of the interwebs, I will be your pilot and navigator for tonight's shenanigan-infused journey into the mind of this particular garbage can dude. And I'm not going to lie to you, folks. Got a real barn burner here on deck for y'all tonight. An occult and or esoteric review of the 1992 cinematic masterpiece. Yep, good evening there, Wes H. 1992 cinematic masterpiece, Sneakers. Not to be confused with the footwear. Evening there, Ellie. Yep, howdy. This is a film that's deeply rooted in spook stuff, right in your face from moment one. Thank God, not like that ghost story film where there's a dick right in your face from moment one, without warning. Full frontal. This is full frontal spook stuff right in your face, and they're kind of warning you. It's named Sneakers, so we got a few guests here tonight on the panel. Landon, greetings, sir, host of the Daily Dissident. Welcome back to Operation GCD.
What's happening, JJ? Glad to be back, buddy. Super pumped for this. This is a good movie.
You like this one, huh? This is good stuff. It's a hell of a cast. It's an all-star lineup.
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend watching it.
It's right up your alley with some of the stuff you cover on the Daily Dissident. One of your favorite characters, Michael Riconosciuto, Danger Man from the Octopus Inslaw affair, which this film seems to have a lot of striking similarities to. That
right,
whole scandal.
They run parallel, right? This whole ecosystem, right? Especially 1992. You know what I mean? You got Danny Castellero. He's done in 1992 as well. So
Well, you ain't kidding, because old Danger Man ain't that far disconnected from folks like Adnan Khashoggi, who was a major Hollywood producer at that era. And
Right.
his wife's a Scientologist.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Looking forward to the review. I know you have a lot of good input here tonight. We also got Clint, host of the Third World Assassin YouTube channel.
So
Man fact, smoke more pot than Snoop Dogg, and for that, sir, I salute you.
Snoop Dogg ain't a real fucking thug. How's it going?
Good stuff, man. What's new at the Third World Assassin? I know you and Todd had some epic conversations over the weekend. I caught some pieces of.
Yeah, we did just talking about rock and roll, and I was doing a show about theosophy the other night, Freemasonry, and I've just been basically this whole subject that I've been on for a long time is just it's such a fucking epic subject that it just never stops. The fucking
the Freemasonry.
Yeah, Freemasonry, theosophy, all the occult societies.
Yeah.
Freemasonry is, if you were to put all the occults into one group, you can basically call them all Freemasonry because they're all the same blueprint of the society. They all operate on the same levels.
You do talk about that a lot and provide a lot of evidence over there on your YouTube channel. You're always showing. You're not just making these claims. You're documenting these claims. I do find that to be impressive. The volume of work you've established there. But I sent you a Twixter DM earlier from Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Speaking of hit shows, I don't know if it was a hit show, but it was a show that was in the 90s at the time of this film, The Sneakers. I watched it as a child, or young teenager there. Nonetheless, and that fella, the star of that, follows me on Twixter. I don't know if he listens to this. If he does, hopefully Parker Lewis still can't lose there, bud. But he was wearing that Freemasonry, whatchamacallit on that picture I sent you, right? Little medallion, if you will.
Freemasonry is just another star cult with this whole claim of out-of-body experiences and all this shit. Some Freemason came on our podcast the other night, and we were debating. I was being ultra friendly and sugarcoating everything just to see how much I could get him to admit.
Nice.
Definitely, right?
Oh, it's all steeped in Egyptian mysticism, right? Well, I definitely recommend folks check that out. And our last guest on the panel tonight, Troublemaker Jonah. Welcome back to Operation GCD, sir.
Yeah. What's good?
Hopefully you're doing better after that grizzly bear attack or whatever you had there with the maple syrup.
That can't stop me.
So what's new? What's your biggest interest as of late? I know you're always researching certain topics, and relative to tonight's topics, I know you'd have a lot of information about the matters of the esoteric and occult nature of the matters steeped into this film, Sneakers.
Yeah, no, I found a very interesting book on Library of Congress today. I haven't jumped into it yet, but it's super interesting because I'm.
Did you freeze up? Did I freeze up? Did someone freeze up?
That's what I was wondering. I was like, did I freeze or did he freeze?
I think we lost Jonah for a moment. Perhaps the grizzly bears got him again. Well, so Landon, was this the first time you'd seen this film?
Yeah. I never knew anything about it.
We'll do a roundtable here on the topic here, and we'll get Troublemaker Jonah back in here. But folks of the interwebs, thanks again for joining us here tonight to get a little GCD on this topic here.
Looks like I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. Nice. So we're going to do the Occult and Esoteric review here of the 1992 cinematic masterpiece, Sneakers, and we're going to do a roundtable, Jonah. Just see when the first time you'd seen the film, and if you'd seen it before, and compare and contrast your thoughts on these matters. But Landon, this was your first time seeing this film, correct?
Right. It's kind of hard to track, right? The first time you watch it, I'm wanting to rewatch it again. You know what I mean?
A lot of ins and outs, a lot,
right?
A couple what have yous.
Right. It's a lot of double backing. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to follow at first, right? And then you start
it's spook shit, right? It's spook shit.
After they break into the bank there, first off in the movie, it just kind of lays the table of what, I think what it's going to be. But one thing I found most interesting that I picked up on, I don't know, Jonah, if you picked up on this as well, but the homeless dude that keeps saying, what does he say? They took my home, or the government took my home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
weren't they saying that it's going to take it home or whatever?
Right. And then in the second time he says his home's destroyed. I didn't know if that was any symbolic to you. I mean, I'm not too familiar with that, so I'd love to hear you guys' input on it.
If you notice that scene where he says it the first time when Redford's walking into that building, he says, "Tell that guy," and he points to a poster of George Bush.
Poster of George Bush. Yeah,
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah.
Damn it.
This is during the Bush era, right? This is a nod to the Bush era, right? This is right after the end of the Bush era, it's the beginning of the Clinton era, and it's an immediate nod to these matters that you're seeing in the film, right?
Right. It would have been just before Clinton got elected, because it came out September 9th of 92. So the Clinton got elected in November of 92. So it still would have been the Bush era.
That's a good point, but I strongly suspect that it was a deal made behind closed doors between those two jackasses. You know what I mean?
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably
that's
right.
At 91 building, depending on who you read.
Yeah, they had a lot of heat. They had a lot of heat. Papa Bush had a lot of heat from all this Iran-Contra stuff. I know Bill did too with the Arkansas wing of that, but nonetheless, they were in cahoots for a decade plus by that point in these matters. And I think at some point in time they're like, look, we got to make this look right.
Right.
Yeah.
Only up and up, right?
It's like all these. I haven't voted for. I think I got talked into voting once by this girl with huge breasts, but like.
Yep.
I never voted.
Classic story, Clint. Happens to us all.
Yeah. Fucking. We all know that the people whose faces are on TV, that they say run the government, do not run the government.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Say what? You mean to tell me JFK Jr. is not alive and I shouldn't trust the plan?
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me right now? I'm utterly shocked. So, when was the first time you'd seen the film there, Clint?
I'm pretty sure I've seen it in the 90s on HBO or something, but I wasn't really paying attention. I was really big into skateboarding in the 90s, but like
all right, fair enough.
The movie, rewatching it a year ago when you mentioned when Todd, me and you and Todd were talking, I got the movie.
I like Todd. I like that guy, Todd. He's a nice guy.
Oh yeah, he's cool. Yeah, he puts a lot of work in.
Heard some good things about the guy, other than besides just his Bob Dylan impressions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm just giving him art. I'm just poking some fun at Todd. No, Todd's always got some great input on a lot of subjects. I'm always fascinated to talk to Todd there.
Yeah, he's pretty informed. It seems like he's been informed for quite some time.
Well, I was gonna say that's what I'm saying. When you all combine over there, your Voltron forces over there at Third World Assassin on the weekends. Those are some really epic conversations. I highly recommend folks check out. But
Voltron,
you got reintroduced to this film via Todd, is it? The Wizard.
Well, was it you or Todd? Either you or Todd said it.
It's probably both of us, to be quite honest. We were probably both talking about it.
Yeah, and then when I rewatched it, it was because it is weird how Dan Aykroyd is like that.
Oh, dude,
I was in that cult or whatever, and he mentions the Nazis faking the moon landing, which I thought was interesting in the movie. But rewatching, I had to watch it like 5 times to fucking even understand the full thing, basically, because it was very complex, even though it seems so simple. It was
spook shit.
Yeah, the end part was my favorite. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, some good shit in here. I do like the Aykroyd conspiracy stuff they pepper in throughout there. I mean, basically every line you hear from Aykroyd throughout the film is he's dropping a different conspiracy theory on you. So, Jonah, I appreciate those thoughts, Clint. Jonah, when was the first time? Did you seen this before, right? Was this the first time you'd seen this?
Yeah, I seen it when I was a kid or whatever. But when you said we were doing sneakers, I thought we were doing sleepers to the priest fucking the kids.
Yeah.
But,
Killing kids in Sandy Hook, right?
Jesus.
That was filmed in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, there in Newtown.
What was?
Yeah. That's where the mental asylum was. Yeah. It's now the town office.
It's called Handy Suck, though, because we're on YouTube, right? So it's
that too. Those sons of bitches.
What did they do at Handy Sook?
The film
the movie
Sleepers. The mental asylum portions of that film is filmed at the mental asylum there in Newtown, Connecticut, which is now the town offices, and a nice gym. I highly recommend the gym there. It's fancy.
Sleepers is like De
96.
Niro when it's about fucking kids.
Y'all know that legend
I don't
of
think I've seen this one.
old Barry Soetoro there using
Kevin
a
Bacon.
Connecticut Social Security number that someone inadvertently posted on the White House website with his IRS tax return. Y'all remember that one? Yeah. So back in the Obama administrations, he was facing a bunch of accusations about stuff. He's like, I'm a citizen. I'm gonna post my IRS tax return. Someone posted on the White House website, and it uses a Connecticut Social Security number that seems to go back, from all my investigations, seems to go back to a fellow by the name of Harry, who was a patient to that very same mental asylum in Newtown, Connecticut, where the Sleepers film that Jonah was talking about was filmed. Kevin Bacon's in that one, right, Jonah?
I can't recall, but
I'm pretty sure there's some bacon in there. Pretty sure bacon's in there.
Didn't Obama just sell his house in Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah, dude, to Les Wexner.
Yeah, that was weird, bro. Especially right now.
We live in weird times. Jeffrey Epstein's only client buys Obama's $32 million Martha's Vineyard property.
Yeah. I figured you'd seen it after saying Obama today. I was like, you definitely seen that shit, because I was like, what are you talking about, bro? No one's even like covering it either.
Yeah,
that's the weird thing.
Yeah, a lot of weird shit goes on there in Martha's Vineyard.
Hey, like this movie is. It's the Good Old Boys, right?
Hey, Martha's Vineyard is where JFK Jr. crashed, isn't it?
Yes, sir, Chappaquiddick. Have you all met Buffalo Jared? He's from Martha's Vineyard.
Definitely looks
that little ditty he was doing right there was right around the corner from where Obama's chef was found drowned in that in that pond region.
Definitely was not
swampy
suicidal.
pond.
Yeah. I forgot to say that I need a Winnebago I need a Winnebago with a fucking waterbed.
Dude.
So I just looked it up. It's De Niro with Bacon, Brad Pitt, Jason Patrick, who's the one from fucking Terminator 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically every pedophile in Hollywood.
So what were your general thoughts on tonight's film, the 1992 cinematic masterpiece Sneakers?
To be honest,
9.3 out of 10.
Can I just bring up,
what are your thoughts, Jonah? What do you got there, fella?
I got one clip I want to share just because I thought it was fucking particularly funny.
Let's do that.
And
Did you share it with me here?
Yeah, I'm gonna share it right now. And where the fuck is it? There we go. This one. There we go. Share.
Speak of the wizard. There's Todd right there. Greetings, sir. Real estate shenanigans involved in Shanty Crook. Yeah, well, there's always real estate shenanigans. That's a good point. I don't care what anyone says. A few more hormone blockers and reviews may become convincing at some. Well, here's the thing. He may be keeping some men happy there in the Bridgeport mental asylum there, or he may not be in there at all because I can't find his court cases publicly. But what were your thoughts there, Jonah?
I'm sharing that now. So.
Oh, you got that clip here? My bad. I didn't see it. I see it now, though.
Yeah, what are you saying?
I remember doing some backup research on that mental facility that dude was in, and fucking and that this other guy was in there in the 60s or something, and it was like a huge CIA research facility in
what?
Yeah, it was,
another guy was in there too. His name was Nathaniel Barjona. He's a kid diddling, cannibalistic, homicidal, psychopathic serial killer whom I came face to face with in 2001, and who may have served me human meat burgers at the local Hardee's in 2000. He was in that same facility, dude. Same facility as Buffalo Jared. And the judge, if I may, real quick, fellas, the judge, speaking of Chappaquiddick there, Jonah, the judge that let Nathaniel Barjona out of that mental institution, and then he attempted to murder and rape and kill and eat another kid like 4 weeks later. No big deal. No big deal. And he got probation for that. No big deal. But that same judge that kept letting him out, He was the same judge that he was a special prosecutor assigned to the case of Chappaquiddick and let Teddy walk, old Teddy Kennedy. And that was very much a process related murder, topic of a different day and a horse of a different color, perhaps. But, you know, these matters of Chappaquiddick and the scumbaggery around those areas, it's rampant, it seems.
So, yeah, I mean, my opinion on the Kennedy thing, Ted Kennedy thing, is they're just putting him in the line and being like, hey, you know, we already killed your two brothers. You know, you want to be next? But
Yeah.
I got this
That's possible.
set up.
That's possible. He had an interesting meeting with the process there in Cambridge beforehand, and the woman that died just happened to have a lot of information about the RFK, you know, presidential campaign.
Yeah.
She was his top staffer. And you know what? And you look at that LA campaign, it's not only Tate and Polanski that are in that LA campaign of 68 for RFK. You got a couple serial killers on that same list of folks, one of which got awarded in that campaign. So a lot of weird shit going on there.
So this clip I have set up, though, I'll just go through it fast. It's only like 3 seconds, but I just wanted to, because it fucking made me laugh so hard here. Now, if you watch, he's holding the gun on this dude, but then when they flip around here, it's wide open. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Classic Hollywood mistakes, right?
Yeah. So I saw that. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? But I just had to point that out. You know, I know we don't necessarily want to get hit by all the copyrights, but that I just had to point that out because I saw that. I'm like, man, I'm Canadian. I don't even own guns. You know, so we're not allowed to. But I saw that. I'm like, really? That bitch who got a fucking gun cocked open. How the fuck are you gonna scare someone up with that? You know?
What?
I wonder if there was a hidden clip where she actually killed that guy in the movie, but they took it out or something.
No, that was Brandon Lee. Come on, brother. Wasn't that 92 also? Actually, wasn't that 92 also?
This isn't the Rust film set, all right, guys.
Well, you know, I think to a certain extent, though, you gotta look at the ideology of these folks. They may be making mistakes like that on purpose because they don't like guns. You know what I mean? Bunch of commies.
Well, either way, I saw that. I just like that. When I saw
Yes,
that,
sir.
I was
If you're
like,
looking
fuck,
for a barn burning, you're in the right spot. Come on down. So, pardon me. I'd seen this movie, this 1992 cinematic masterpiece there when it came out, and spook films were very much a thing in my household. From the James Bond films to, you want to talk about a weird spook film from the 80s, Jumping Jack Flash, starring Whoopi Goldberg. That was a fan favorite in the household.
That's weird.
Yeah. Anyhow, this one obviously big hit. So we see a team of Muppets who are a bunch of misfits, and they're running a security company in San Francisco, and they break into different places to test their security. We see them doing that in a bank to start off with, but then we see some folks, you know, from the spooky varieties and this kind of deep state nature, former NSA, potentially current and former FBI as they exhibit. And then we see an underlying tone of this Cold War aspect continuing into a digital age here. And this is 1992. Again, we'll go over some of the details of the Promise software install affair, because this is some striking, you know, similarities, obviously, and at a time when this information was not that public, right? So I do have a couple clips here to what you got?
It would have been public. I mean, but I think just you and I were too fucking young to understand it at the time, because like they Glenn was saying, Dan Castellaro was already killed in 91, and all the Senate and Congress, they had already had hearings on it, and they're going to reopen hearings in 92 after or 93 when Clinton took office. So
no, it was there was some public knowledge. You're right, sir. That's correct. But it wasn't that, you know, there wasn't any in-depth understandings of these things, which seems like the writers of this film knew when they released it on September 11th, 1992.
Interesting.
Right
now,
that's
almost 91 is September 11th.
Right.
September 11th.
Let's not forget.
91 September 11th. George Bush made the speech.
Well, I'm glad you pointed that out, sir, because this is 1 year after, and we get a New World Order reference in this film, and I was going to play that for us next year.
Yeah, the one chick. What is that? The girlfriend, JJ, that says it, right? I picked up on that too.
Yes, sir. Well, while we're on the topic, I will go ahead and play that. Yes, sir. You good eye there, Landon.
Shameless.
I'll see you Thursday night. What? New title. Cultural attaché. Unbelievable. Last few years has been very confusing for people in my line of work. I'll bet.
I don't care what anybody says about the New World Order. I don't trust that guy.
Boom. So we see the New World Order reference. We got the reference to the fall of the Soviet Union. We have former Soviet spooks and American. Well, Redford's not really a spook, but he does spooky activities because he's on the lam from the government. The government's.
And technically, you're in a consulate when you're in his car. So that's my favorite part of the movie.
Right. So, but we see a lot of that espionage going back and forth, and they literally describe these things as the Cold War going into the digital age, which I find fascinating because I've oftentimes in the past I've kind of discarded these matters of the Cold War. But one quick note, Jonah, as I look into the matters of Edward Wayne Edwards, the most prolific serial killer you probably never heard of. Well, old Ed was surviving in life by ratting out commies beginning in 1951. So. In fact, he was actually, according to the FBI records and his own notes to the FBI, he later wrote in '93 in a threatening letter, Ed that is, he was actually spying on the Rosenberg spook network out of the the commie spies and scientists out of Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. So that's some weird shit. So when we see these, it's caused me to reevaluate these matters of the Cold War. And this film, I thought, was a good representation of that as well, because they're talking about going into the digital age, and we see this warfare, right, of trying to hack everyone's shit.
Isn't that
what you got?
JJ?
Whack a nut. What's that?
Who was the company to predecess G4S that UK?
Yeah, that's
company?
Wackenhut. Yeah, he's George Wackenhut's deeply spooky.
They're doing the same shit, right? They're the ones ratting out the fucking commies, quote unquote commies.
Well, they got a
surveillance state.
Yeah, there you go. It's the surveillance state. They got to produce the national security state, and we see that very much emphasized here in this film with the National Security Agency very much involved, which they are involved in the Octopus Inslaw affair, which they often don't get a lot of credit for a lot of the nefarious shit they do, in my opinion. But hey, look, I'm just a garbage can, dude. But we do see a lot of those matters here in this film, which I think is very fascinating. But Jonah, you had a point to make before we go any further?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's go ahead, and if you bring up the picture there that or the screen I'm sharing right now, let's not forget that Robert Maxwell not only was Iran Contra, but
yes,
he was also directly involved with selling of the Promise software. And again, my source right here. So if we scroll down a little bit, I'm on the wrong screen with my mouse. If I scroll down just a little bit.
So you got to scroll, bud. I can't do it. There you go.
No, I was talking myself. It says inside the U.S. Israeli arms network, Ari Ben Menashe, who was Israeli intelligence, but it's kind of funny though, because when you go into his book, and I'll share the link here in a minute in the chat, but let's see here. Wait, he's got an entire chapter on Promise in here, and how Maxwell was instrumental with the gem. See, the whole chapter, right? This book all about Promise. And it's quite interesting because I didn't realize that he was directly involved with this one too. But it's been a while since I looked into this shit here. So
yeah, it comes out of the NSA, right? Bill Hamilton was an NSA contractor doing work for the Department of Justice, so it's kind of spook on spook stuff from the get go. If you ask me.
Right, I've been very wary of Bill Hamilton, right? Because he kind of. In general, Bill Hamilton, he worked for the fucking NSA, bro. You know what I mean? So, like,
well, who does he hire as Oh, for sure, dude. Look who he hires as his attorney, right? He hires a guy deeply involved in Iran Contra, the former Secretary of State for Reagan, right? Or was it Nixon?
Might have been Nixon, I think.
Well, I don't know if you can see as I zoom in here, but
But bro,
I'm trying to think of the dude's name right now. It'll come back to me. But yeah, dude, again, we're looking at, so in my opinion, when we're looking at matters such as, again, like it's depicted in this film, a lot of spook on spook stuff, deep state spook stuff, official spook stuff, right? Because we find out at the end of the film, Darth Vader runs the CIA. You know what I mean? So James Earl Jones. So
right, and he has to Winnebago. He's
got to get a Winnebago, dude. And River Phoenix, he grew up in a sex cult, so he only wants that one lady's phone.
Winnebago.
What's the
Winnebago, waterbed?
My Private Idaho or whatever. Hey, wasn't it River Phoenix, My Private Idaho for JJ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you done sharing with that? My apologies.
No, it's showing. But yeah, no, we don't really need to go into that.
Man, we can go over that, man. I didn't mean to do that. If you want to send me that, you got the link in the chat, right? I'll put a link in the show notes.
I'm putting it in the chat. I'll have to send it to myself, and then I'll put it in the chat for everyone who's live right now. But then I'll send it to myself here. I got it on my index browser on my phone.
When was this published again? What year was this?
Oh, this book was published in 1992.
That's what I thought you said. Yeah. So this, but when you're talking Maxwell and all this promise software stuff, again, Khashoggi's involved in that. They're doing Hollywood financing. So, and you look at who's involved in this film, dude. Even Aykroyd, he's got some interesting ancestry that I did not previously really pick up on. Outside of his, he's got a spiritualist foremother. It was one of his, grandmothers was a spiritualist lady, right? Friends with Arthur Conan Doyle and Houdini, right? Those kind of characters. But he's got some other kind of like big banking financial kind of stuff, which ties right into these matters, right? When you're looking at this banking and financial aspects, these are what we're talking about.
Right. And one thing to add to the Maxwell stuff, Ghislaine's sister worked for fucking Microsoft.
Ghislaine's sister helped invent one of the early search engines for the interwebs, and her husband is the son of Jack Parsons, #2 of the Agape Lodge of the OTO.
Right. So it's super
that's
you know what I mean?
I wouldn't be surprised if that guy at the end of the movie on the roof, if he was Al Gore in real life.
Right.
Give me back my internet.
Character. So
I think that's who it was.
So yeah, if you post a link to that, I'll put a link to that.
It's in the YouTube chat right now, but I'm just getting online. I'll just send it to you direct on X because it's on my phone, my laptop. So
make sure it gets in the show notes because I'm not familiar with that book either, sir. So I appreciate that. I'm definitely gonna read that one. So
Ari Ben real quick, Ari Ben Menashe, he's directly Israeli intelligence, whatnot, but it's kind of funny though too because earlier this
I kind of assumed that by his name, he was Israeli intelligence doing this kind of stuff. Right?
Yeah, and he goes, but just this week he's actually come out and said that Netanyahu's committed a genocide, and he's like, I don't care what kind of dirt that they have on Trump, whether it's fucking young girls or he's taking billions of dollars from Israel. It's a matter of integrity that he has to come out and speak out against the genocide. It was kind of wild to hear him say it, but
Well, here's a fun fact: he's born in Iran.
Yeah, Tehran. That's when that's under the Shah. Like, yeah, you and I still need to go into that one because there's so much more to Iran that's going on. Because he in this book too, he also talks about how Israel is the one who's doing the back door for fucking all the sales of weapons to Iran. So I mean, for Iran Contra,
I have one response to that. So
yeah, go ahead.
No, it's typical.
Yeah. So he's talking about how he's since he was born in Tehran, and in the book he talks about how he was born in Tehran, and because of that he speaks Farsi, and basically he talks about, and I haven't even heard this story, but I'm assuming it's true since he published it, and it's probably very easily verified. But he was got picked up by the Israeli intelligence because he out on some fucking Australian who was staying in kibbutz with him who said fucking.
Are you cutting out or am I cutting out? Who's cutting out? We cutting out?
No, you're good.
Probably me. I'm out on the country.
Can you repeat that? Because you came in broken, unreadable, sir. Can you repeat that for us?
So even before he was in the intelligence, he happened to be staying in a kibbutz with some Australian that burned up fucking Al-Aqsa Mosque in the fucking 60s.
Dude, that's just a coincidence, Jonah. It's just a coincidence.
That's why they picked him up though. And now here's the other thing though too, right? I'm not necessarily like one of these like, oh, it's Israel, it's the Jews, because let's be honest, fucking Israeli Knesset will kill the fucking Jews just as fast as Trump will kill an American, right? You know what I mean? But he ends up talking about what I was gonna say. Oh, he talks about fucking Unit 8200 in it too, and he was a member of Unit 8200. I was like, God damn, I need to go.
That would be the folks that would be associated with the Promise and Maxwell, because that's the technology center of the Israeli spooks, right?
Well, he's before that. I mean, so Edwin Meese, fuck this
but
guy.
it's the same network of shit, right? It's the same folks,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
This is the
Yeah,
lawyer,
yeah.
right?
I got a website
this
link
was
here.
this was the lawyer for Bill Hamilton in the Inslaw affair. So Edwin Meese was, again, I think he was. Let's see, he was the served on Reagan's gubernatorial administration. Then he was on Reagan's transition team, and then he was on
He was
Reagan's
Attorney
administration.
General.
Yeah, he was the Attorney General from 85 to 88. He also
He was
died.
also
Go ahead.
no, he was also the one who was dropping all these amicus curiae on fucking all the Trump fake trials. So again, too, that just makes it more of a fucking operation when he's out there dropping all the amici curiae on the fucking Supreme Court.
Yeah, he's balls deep with all from North and Iran-Contra, and he's later than covering up these matters in the 90s. That's what I'm saying. We see the ongoing affairs of the Iran-Contra stuff from the late 80s boiling over into the early 90s with stuff like the Inslaw affair and the octopus, and we see those matters being depicted in a film contemporary to the time. And literally, again, when you look at these financial matters, these folks all know each other, and we'll look at some of that here after we get further into the introduction. But Clint, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, there was so I was exploring that link in the private chat. You don't have to bring it up or anything, but it's a link of surveillance places around the world, and it was interesting because the foreign ones, they were all the ones that I figured they were, but like in America, there was a lot of fucking intelligence gathering in Oklahoma City. It looked like, which I thought was interesting.
Well, sure, that's a centrally located spot. I mean, you got to look at communications. They got to travel somehow. You got wires and stuff that go involved with these matters. So you do have to consider geographics and geographically speaking where you're putting these places. But when you're talking about these networks, dude, yeah, it's not just America. So this is a national security franchise. For example, JFK set up an NSA, what is essentially the Australian NSA facility in Australia. So that was helped financed by Kennedy.
But can I interrupt for a moment here because I just want to
go ahead.
I just want to point out that it's kind of funny. Like the one thing that kind of fucking blows up the whole operation, it sounds like, is that they sell the app to Canada, who fucking the Canadian agencies. They don't ever say which agencies. They start reaching out to Inslaw and asking for manuals and shit, but they got bootlegged fucking pirated software. So I just thought that was fucking hilarious.
I know.
Supposedly it was the mounted police. That was the first.
It is a cute tale. But then we see folks like Aykroyd here starring in this film, and his father was a senior advisor to Pierre Trudeau.
Dude, don't get me started on Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
But JJ, I mean, as we know,
He's still running those red schools,
but just on space, you were saying Canada got involved with outing these Promise and Octopus Inslaw stuff. Well, again, we see folks shit-coating some of these matters in a sense, right? I mean, they're providing a narrative, that way when you folks look at it in the future, I think they're like, oh, well, did you see a Hollywood film? Did you see that in a movie? Did you watch
Do you know where
that's what it's all about.
Where Pierre Elliott Trudeau went to school, though? He went to the London School of Communism with fucking JFK, George Soros, Karl Popper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, that's the London School of Communism has a different name.
Wasn't Castro over there?
I have one response for you, sir. And that is typical. Fucking commies, dude. Fucking commies. So when we get into this film, we see these matters of this misfit team getting hired by this national security deep state to go steal a little black box. And I have a brief clip here for us on that matter.
Sorry to waste your time, gentlemen. I don't work for the government.
We know. National Security Agency.
Oh. You're the guys I hear breathing at the other end of my phone.
No, that's the FBI. We're not chartered for domestic surveillance.
Oh, I see. You just overthrow governments, set up friendly dictators.
No, that's the CIA. We protect our government's communications. We try to break the other fellow's codes. We're the good guys, Marty.
Gee, I can't tell you what a relief that is, Dick.
Just a couple spook jokes in there, They slipped those in there. I thought that was pretty good, though. They're like, oh, yeah, we don't do domestic stuff. Oh, we're not chartered for that.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't have jurisdiction.
Yeah, they don't have the
we don't have jurisdiction for that. We can't do that, fella. That's why we got to hire you, But these, I think that is an accurate depiction of some of this scumbaggery that goes on in this national security network. Expendable assets.
They don't have They don't have that 702 over collection. Oh wait, no, that came out after September 11th, anyways. But and anyone here who knows about the 702 over collection, yeah. And it's kind of funny, you know, they always seem to reauthorize it, right? Even though they always put on a little show that they're not going to reauthorize, but they always reauthorize.
Jonah,
that, right?
Jonah, it's terrorism. We got to reauthorize it. You know, terrorism.
It's all these giant networks.
But they don't do it themselves,
guerrilla,
JJ.
All these giant networks of guerrilla organizations that they've created over the last fucking 100 years have all turned into their own psychotic fucking.
I got
dude,
something.
You're spot on, dude.
I got something to jump onto that too, right?
Right?
I got something to add on to that. So now let's go ahead. If we're talking about Operation Gladio or the stay behind unit, the NATO stay behind units, right? So now the Cox who's his best friend that he like rats out or whatever at the start of the movie. Then he goes to prison, he gets mobbed up, and then they make him disappear. So he's a fucking stay behind Gladio right from the start. So I mean, that's also at the same time that what was it? Our Andreotti from Italy was first bringing out the stay behind units, and then the Gladio shit. So they got that slid in there too.
Well, no, you're spot on there because we do see that depicted here. So in the beginning of the film, Redford and Ben Kingsley are it's December of 1969. And they are hacking the Federal Reserve. They hack Richard Nixon's personal bank account to have him donate money to the marijuana legalization fund.
Yeah, 25,000.
Yeah. So they get busted. Redford steps out. His buddy Ben Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley, he gets busted, goes to prison, and we find out later they fake his death, and he's a part of this national security state enterprise doing the technology and security for the mafia in a front company of a toy company in San Francisco.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll stay behind you.
They don't do it. They don't do it themselves though, right? You see these CIA cutouts such as Wagon Hut, different companies of that nature.
I can assure you,
because they're linked up in Vegas.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that's just those kids. They were trained in Sorry, not Vegas. I forgot it was might have been a Trump rally. One of the kids.
Kyle Rittenhouse?
No.
Kyle Rittenhouse, who was clearly a fucking Treadstone agent. Get the fuck out of here with that whole incident.
Here's the thing I've noticed over the years. It's not just the CIA or Army Intelligence or O&I, Navy Intelligence, or no such agency than NSA, because that's what they were known as. They weren't publicly printed in, and their name was not publicly printed, I don't believe, until 1980. So and there's a component of their office today that's very much still secret, the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office. This is all the Elon Musk satellites, SpaceX. It's a combination of NASA, CIA, and the Air Force. But if you look at
still under CIA though,
what is it?
NRO, isn't it technically still run under CIA?
No, it's part of the NSA.
Okay, yeah. I knew it was one of them.
That's where it branches out of, but it's comprised of Air Force, NSA, and NASA, and then on top of that, they do all the satellite stuff and surveillance stuff. So that's how they tie into the NSA stuff as well. So you see this weird conglomerate of an agency most folks have never heard of. And 40 years ago, no one had heard of NSA, no such agency. So a decade later, we get a Hollywood film about it though, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that just outing the whole Obama administration for the surveillance state, right? Are you talking about Snowden?
Snowden was just a CIA op anyways. He just outed the NSA so fucking Brennan can get more contacts.
Yeah, you're back.
So when we look at these matters here in the film, we see that team getting introduced. Those two fellows pretend to be NSA guys. They're former NSA guys, we later learn. And, again, it's this weird idea of who is not current and who is former, right? This weird concept that goes around these spook matters. But we see them getting introduced to we getting some feedback on someone's in there.
I was muting my.
You got some Muppets over there?
$1,000, way out of profile for.
Are you being kidnapped by Muppets and they're stealing your mic? What's going on there?
I was muting my bike while I was coughing. Hopefully it wasn't muting correctly.
But we see these matters of who is current, who is former, and stuff, and that's part of the underlying narrative here as well. But we see them. The main plot is to steal this black box because the black box can hack any system, right? Maybe.
$180,000, way out of profile for a guy like that. It's our job to be curious, so we trace the money. Guess where it comes from?
I know you're not going to say Russia.
Yeah.
God, give me a break. We won, they lost, you know. It's been in a couple of papers.
Yeah, we still spy on them, they still spy on us.
We intercepted the fax last week. Yeah, making some kind of box, a little black box.
The project's called CTEC Astronomy. We don't know what CTEC stands for.
So that's the mission: is to get that black box. CTEC Astronomy. What was y'all's take on that namesake for this box?
CTEC Astronomy. Is there an underlying?
CNET, I believe, is a coding line. I think.
Well, I just think it's always weird when every government operation has to be named after matters such as astronomy and the constellations. Right?
Yeah, it's all very Masonic.
For example, one of the film's writers was involved. I figured Clint would enjoy this fun fact. One of the film's writers was maybe an aunt, I think, of the writer, was involved in the UN over there in '92 in Somalia, leading up to Operation Gothic Serpent. That's a weird name. That's what's the Black Hawk Down mission over there in Somalia. And you got folks connected to this film that are directly related to people that are over there doing UN stuff.
Yeah, anything nuclear is always supervised by the Undersecretary of the Security Council.
Right, JJ, you know who does that, right? All those nuclear contracts, right? That's Betchel.
Is it? I was gonna say, is it Bill Clinton?
No,
Can
another CIA cutout.
Not Bill Clinton. Noted.
Cool.
Now,
so we see a network of folks behind this. Oh, go ahead.
Can I just point out a little tangential spook shit? But isn't Tubal-Cain the one in the Bible that's said to create astronomy? Well, then Tubal-Cain 2 is just 007 with the two balls and the cane, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, you tie the spook shit that way, right? And once again, too, I brought this up before when I was on with you in New York Patriot, and anyone who has never seen it, y'all need to at least read or at least watch the movie. But if not, read the book, The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
Oh yeah, I recall you mentioning that.
It's a great one. I don't want to do any spoilers, but it's from 1972, so it's really a fucking spoiler. But everyone,
spoil away, sir. Spoil away. You know what I mean?
So it's this black guy. Actually, no. First off, so a white congressman or senator decides that there's no black people in the CIA, so they decide that they're gonna have an entire class of all black people. So the one guy who makes it, he ends up getting sent down to the mailroom, and then they brought him up to the director's office as the secretary. But then he decides to quit, goes back, and starts a revolution, color revolution. So I mean, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I was going to say, dude, it's pretty in your face, right? With that, the commie shit, right?
Well, man, it's all that Black Power stuff that was big around that time too, right? But no, it's definitely worth seeing. It's definitely worth reading. So I highly recommend that.
Yeah. Well, the leftists try to say that they see that what the commies do is that they buy into they make sure that they spread their nonsense to the minorities, and then they give them rhetoric to whereas if anyone questions the communism, oh, you're being racist. That's how they do it.
That's true.
You're a Semite, Clint. I can hear your voice when you talk about it, bud.
Right.
Because that's what they say, right? You can't. That's what I'm saying. Like whenever I talk about even matters relative to Israel, I specifically say Rothschild. It's a Rothschild franchise. It's on paper as a Rothschild franchise. It continues to be.
It's a Rothschild island, right?
Yeah.
I think the World Supreme Court of the UN might be there. I can't remember where the location is.
But
I'm pretty sure it's there,
just kayfabe, right?
I'm not sure.
Supreme Court of Israel with the two pillars and the whatever on top. It's the the pyramid and the two pillars on top of the Israeli Supreme Court. But then they also have all kinds of weird shit in that place.
Two balls and a cane. Huh? It's always sex stuff with these sick fucks, isn't it?
Well, Tubal Cain, right? Though that's all it is. Tubal Cain is like it goes all the way back to Genesis, right? So he's one of the descendants of Cain, right?
Yeah, he's got two balls and a cane.
So he's the Tubal Cain, and so when they do like the what do you call it, the James Bond 007, it's two balls and a cane. So that's why they did that allegedly, So it's weird as shit, right? He's the father of Smithcraft or Freemasonry. So I mean, but
I don't disagree, sir. And if you may hold that thought.
Here are the pizzas. The blotter buses are free because I couldn't find the goddamn place. That's all. Bob. How'd you get a job? Fucking President Clinton.
You had sex with President Clinton?
Fucking President Clinton.
Yeah, I was thinking of the International Court of Justice. That's one of them, but there's another one that's in the.
Is that in The Hague?
Yeah.
No. If we're gonna be talking about that shit, can I just say the one good thing that George Bush did was that he created the Invade the Hague Act. Now let's go ahead and give credit to George Bush for getting that passed through Congress. So if the Hague ever decides to arrest an American, they're gonna invade fucking Brussels, where the Hague is, and fucking take over that court. So
well, yeah, dude, he was obviously concerned for his own welfare. You know what I mean?
Well, no, he doesn't have to be concerned for his own welfare because the USA's never signed on to it, so they have no jurisdiction over him.
That's what I'm saying, dude. They're never going to, right? Because they're like, no, we're not playing that game, dude.
But I just love the fact that it's actual law that if they ever arrest any American, they're gonna invade the fucking Europeans and just save their.
Yeah, but you gotta understand though. I study Supreme Court cases and stuff. That this in the Wikipedia, it's chartered by the UN Charter, and that in the Supreme Courts, the basically anything that inflicts with the UN Charter has to yield to the Charter. For example, Fuji versus California Supreme Court. Fuji with two eyes.
That's an interesting point, and if I may, I'd like to introduce a binding resolution to side table these matters for a future UN meeting. We all work for the UN now. I don't know if you are all aware of that, but so if we look at who's behind this film, we see folks like the guy who brought us, another spooky film, Tom Clancy's Summer of All Fears. This guy's the director and co-writer, screenwriter, and his associates are even spookier. They're the ones behind DreamWorks. This couple, the Parks couple here, dude and his wife, are the producers behind a lot of the matters of DreamWorks, including matters such as Men in Black, Minority Report included.
Can I go on a tangent when you bring up Tom Clancy?
Yeah. They were the head of the motion picture division there at DreamWorks, him and his wife. And then the other co-screenwriters, a third one. We got a third one in the mix. Lawrence Lasker. He's perhaps the most interesting. He did War Games, right, with old Matthew Broderick. He's also got a very interesting family. So his grandfather, his father's father, he was daddy, and what does he do? His daddy's daddy was Albert Lasker. He was a major politician and advertising guru. Speaking of these, psychological operations associated with shitcoating and covering up these things, right? Yeah, they got to have a good story to cover things up, to shitcoat these matters, so no one ever finds out the truth. Well, you got folks that, directly associated with that, and this dude, the writer Lawrence, is apparently the heir apparent to this financial fortune as well through his father Edward. Wealthy folks nonetheless, but it is his aunt's involved. They're doing UN stuff in that family, but his aunt lived next door to the Playboy Mansion. Ellen DeGeneres bought her home recently. That's weird.
Can I go on a tangent if we're going to bring up Tom Clancy?
I got you pulled up right here, bud. Go ahead. Tee off.
So when we're talking about Tom Clancy and the Hunt for Red October, right? It's kind of funny because that bitch ass fucking Vladimir Putin is a fucking Kissinger and Associates employee. So they they include the name Putin in the movie and the book, so that's the fucking, but Putin's not a popular name, so then they include his name in there. But who is Tom Clancy's co-writer is Steve Pichenik, and that's how I know for a fact that fucking Alex Jones is an agent, because he brings Steve Pichenik on all the time, and he's like, oh yeah, he used to work for the CIA. It's like, no, motherfucker, he was Henry Kissinger's second-hand man. He wasn't the deputy, he was the deputy director or whatever. Steve Pichenik. So then he goes for fucking.
He's also going back to that Bay of Pigs situation, if I may. He's a Cuban.
Yeah.
Polish fellow by way of Cuba, and he was involved in the Bay of Pigs stuff. That's how he made his bones, I believe, in the CIA.
Yeah, and like it meant he was the one who went over as the White House negotiator under fucking Carter, and ended up fucking involved. Man, Italy still has an arrest warrant for his bitch ass. So
Jonah, if I'm understanding you, sir, you mean to tell me that when Steve Pichenik tells me to trust the plan and the JFK Jr. is still alive, I should not believe him?
He was Henry Kissinger's second-hand man, so you can trust him as much as you want. That's all I gotta say.
Well, here's the deal on that one, bud. We all know what Kissinger does. He hangs out with old Cocaine Bob. I'll bring up a picture, but wouldn't you believe that, you see these matters that again, so when, just the matters of even that. So you got Tom Clancy writing books with Steve Pichenik, and the real world Jack Ryan in those books is kind of based on Steve Pichenik, is my understanding, right? We see the same kind of situations popping off when we see this Hollywood national security state with Cocaine Bob Evans and Henry Kissinger, right?
Yeah, and then let's be honest, like that special agent Bill Hicks goes out and fucking says that Steve Pichenik was just an employee. Never mind, he was the fucking deputy or director deputy or whatever fucking those retarded names that they give. So he wasn't in Kissinger's right hand man. He was the left hand. But get the fuck out of here.
Are you saying it's kayfabe, Jonah?
There you go. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
That's what I keep getting back, with these guys having these little infights. Are they really infight, or are they just protecting the bigger plan, right? The real plan, the New World Order.
Yeah, but I mean, when Alex Jones comes out and says like, "Oh yeah, you should trust him," he turned his back. Yeah, he's the one who they sent in to kill the fucking prime minister of Italy and Gladio bullshit with the Red Brigade in 1978. But yeah, he really turned his back, and he's a truther now. Get the fuck out of here.
If someone tells you that you can't ask questions, then you probably should automatically discredit anything they have to say. So,
yeah, I think what Alex Jones and all these people are pushing is some kind of radicalized fake Christian bullshit that's being hit in the mainstream, and they're pulling a real fucking equilibrium here with these two opposites of cultures, and I think the clash of the cultures will create something that will further the New World Order.
Civil unrest, so the New World Order FEMA camps at Walmart. And
well, here's the deal. You guys I think you guys are on target, but I see a lot of commie shit in this photo here with Cocaine Bob and Henry Kissinger. I see a lot of murder, national security state nonsense.
If we're going to talk about FEMA, can we just talk about how we got all these fucking Trump cards fucking swollen and fucking cum like they're at a bukkake fest fucking. Oh, what's Donald Trump saying you have to support Israel to get FEMA? So all these Trump tards are fucking backing FEMA now? Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, you had everybody backing fucking Putin there for like a hot 7 months. Tucker Carlson went on with him, right?
You guys are right on the topic where I want to be. If I may, Clinton, you can let you comment here in a second. We see all this reflected in the film, this ongoing Cold War stuff again. How much of the Cold War was really cold, and how much of it's hot, and how much of it is still ongoing, it seems, right?
Wait. Again, I'm going to say I highly recommend everyone gets their hand on a copy of the fucking David Rockefeller memoirs and see how much he talks about Chase and fucking Rockefeller were running banks in the 60s. And And then they opened up a bank in fucking China in 1972 before China ever became a part of the World Trade Organization.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I mean,
Kissinger's their lackey, right? That's Nelson Rockefeller's got his hand up Kissinger's butt, making his mouth move, right?
yeah. But I'm talking David Rockefeller memoirs, so that's the one where he openly actually. Let me just bring that quote up before I.
Yeah, but they're kind of attached to the hip, David and Nelson, right? It was Lawrence was the outsider.
It's like they made the World War II happen, I believe, in that they were funding both sides. They created all this internationalism. They destroyed America. They, those bastards.
Dude, speaking of Bill Hicks, I caught him the other day on Twixter. I was scrolling through Twixters, and there I find Bill Hicks filming some PG-13 gay conspiracy porn with that Ian Carroll fella talking about aliens, dude. I'm like, get the fuck out
where
of
they're
here.
like naked together in a fucking.
Yeah, dude, they're sitting in a pond, dude. They're splashing each other, smelling each other's farts.
I saw that. I was like, what the fuck? That's gay as shit.
That's a humiliation.
But no, you know who did it? You know who I saw it was William Ramsey posted it. He's like, yeah, the water isn't turned just a frog gay. It was his quote or something like that.
Oh, did he say that? That's a good one on William's part. I'll give him credit for that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. So that's where I saw it. I was like, that's fucking some gay ass shit. But
yeah, dude, I watched about 32 seconds of it. Couldn't make it to 33. I was like, this is fucking bananas. What is going on in life?
JJ, it's kayfabe. My dad says it goes back to wrestling, man. And it all goes. You had the Iron Sheik and the Hulkster, right? The whole time.
Dude.
That was the whole.
Dude, you had Hacksaw Jim Dugan and the Iron Sheik from Iran doing cocaine together in the back of a van in Cleveland, Ohio, right? And everyone thought that shit was real. I'm like, wait a second, those two are enemies. They're doing cocaine together in a van.
No, I do love
Dennis Leary said it best, though, right? Dennis Leary said it best. He's like, if Hitler had the cocaine, the Jews would be in the bathroom with him.
What?
But I just think a lot of it's just distract, right, JJ? That's kind of what we came to the conclusion of is look over here. You know, you speak of Gunderson all the time, shit code and everything. Well, Gunderson's tied in with these guys too, right?
Ted, you mean Ted Gunderson?
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Dude, watch out, Landon. They got Ted twice.
Did you see the private chat? I sent you a link for Rakana Shudo and Ted Gunderson's meeting over there in Iran with a guy by the name of Tim Osman, if you know who that is.
Well, While he's bringing that up, I brought up that David Rockefeller quote, or I can wait.
Yeah, we can do your quote, but hold on one second. I see it.
So I'll do it real quick. It says for more than
wait, I didn't do it. Hold on, wait. Yeah.
So this quote is direct from David Rockefeller's memoirs. It says for more. I can't really zoom in, or I can.
Push Control Plus. Control Plus.
Yeah.
No, just say computer zoom. It's 2025, but you can just say computer zoom. It'll do it itself.
There we go.
Wait, we don't live in that. We live in a technocratic nightmare. My bad, dude. My bad.
So here we go. I don't know how good that is, but it says for more than a century, ideological extremists at either end of the political spectrum have seized upon well-publicized incidents such as my encounter with Castro to attack the Rockefeller family for inordinate influence they claim we wield over American political and economic institutions. Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political economic structure, one world, if you will.
Yeah.
If that's a charge, I stand guilty and I am proud of it. So Rockefeller wrote that in his memoirs. So like anyone,
they don't hide anything. They're Promethean. Outside of the Rockefeller Plaza, they got the Prometheus statue.
What I was getting at, though, again, I'm recommending that book for anyone who hasn't read it, and if you think you're in the truth or whatever, this is a memoir directly from him. It's an autobiography. I mean, it's one of the few times one of them actually has the balls to go out and like do an autobiography. But what's even really funny is if we're talking about the Rockefellers in Cuba, since he brought up Castro, right? Remember the Maine. John D. Rockefeller. Remember the Maine. If you all don't know what that is, that's why fucking USA still has
Hitler's grandma?
But you have the infighting, right, between these warring factions of the higher echelons, right? Because you have the Rockefellers on one side, but you also on the right behind them, you have the Vatican Jesuit Church, right, the Jesuit order. So it's these dueling factions. It's a power for the top. I don't think there's one. I think they're too greedy to centralize, right? I think it would be preposterous to think that these greedy fucks could like actually become a unit and work as a unit. It's too much power involved. And
Well,
that's
I
what
mean, it's like,
that,
let's be honest.
You make some good points there, sir. But if you consider the fact that Jeff Epstein's involved, he's like the Where's Waldo of everything, dude. Here's the Castro brothers with Jeff.
But wait, let's be honest. If we're going to be talking about movies, there's one movie that kind of says it all, and that gay ass Freddie Mercury did the soundtrack for the first one. There can be only one. So like to me, that's kind of just showing like them fighting over who's going to be the one world leader, right? They always have a couple different that they're going to put in as the one world leader, but they can't get their shit together enough to fucking not infight. So I'm not too worried about them.
Dude, for sure. And then the other thing to consider is you got a Jewish fella who's an ardent Nazi. You have another Jewish fella standing shirtless next to him. Lord knows what they're involved in between these photographs. I don't want to know. But both of these Jewish fellas are ardent Nazis. So you got to consider these factors as well.
Wait, can I just point out that, like, if you're talking about Nazis, right, allegedly it's National Socialism, but when I see Nazi, I think National Zionist, N-A-Z-I, right?
I think
just going to say that.
Theosophy.
They're not far apart. Right? They're not far apart.
I think pagan.
But now, it's just for fun. I mean, I will point out too, right? The Sanhedrin, the guys that wrote the Talmud, their president was Nasi, which was N-A-S-I. So again, too, that's just a little fun play with words,
Yeah, it goes back to Nazarene.
No, Nasi itself is before that too. No, Nasi, the Talmud. That's like 600 BC in Babylon, when the Nazareth and Nazarene.
FBI document for you, JJ, but I cannot.
Yeah, that's what I was. Obviously.
Oh, what's up, dude? You me scroll down on here?
Yeah, I was trying to find.
Oh, look, speaking of Nazis, Zbigniew Brzezinski, that's another Rockefeller Kissinger associate.
It just talks about Jeffrey McDonald.
His daughter.
And then you can point to the meeting with, I can't confirm it. I've looked everywhere, but there is a FBI or is a court record that actually states that Gunderson and Reconasciuto, which you already told me this a while ago, which was mind-blowing alone, that he was running COINTELPRO for Gunderson. Reconasciuto was, but you find that these guys
he was definitely part of the network. I haven't quite figured out where they intersect, but at some point Ted is running COINTELPRO, and they do meet, and they are running some gambits together, of which some of which is true. So it is important to note.
And some of the stuff that you see here it's kind of hard to, who do you trust? Like you have Sherry Seymour, anybody that puts out an alias, in my opinion, I'm already wary, but there she is right there. But her husband is supposedly had some deep ties in with the whole Vietnam gang. He was a Green Beret, I believe, or an operator over there. So I assume he's tied in with Bill Colby, but I'm wishy-washy on this lady.
Sir,
so
I have one response for you, sir, and that is typical.
Yeah. So you can't believe. I mean, so much double backing going. You don't know what's true and what's real, right? Even in the kangaroo court with the court of justice that we were talking about earlier. I mean, you can't trust the court, bro. Look it's a kangaroo court, bro. It's not real.
Yeah, they're a bunch of
people actually get
serpents.
Prosecuted. They prosecute people who don't have money. That's who they prosecute. You can't prosecute a rich person.
Am I back? Am I back?
Yeah.
I just want to give you one disclaimer there, Landon. If you mention Bill Colby's name, the Bill Colby bots will show up. Just saying.
Bring them on, brother. They better pack a lunch. That's all I gotta say.
Cool. Bill Colby ball watcher that pops up in here every time I say Bill Colby, but their commentary is hilarious. But what do you got, sir?
We got some lasers to melt that cheese.
if
Kobe
you bring
cheese.
back that Prophets of War, I'm sharing it right now since Landon just brought up the name here, but it's kind of funny. You see here that they're talking about Brian and whatnot, but it says besides the Perch group gathered around Copeland, so Miles Copeland, William Casey.
Yeah, dude. Scientologist Miles Copeland, whose sons brought us MTV.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's related to the religious guy.
I mean, so yeah, I definitely have it all right through the link in the chat for everyone, but I'd highly recommend everyone takes the time to read or at least listen to Ari Ben Minash, because you know, and he talks about all the fucking direct ties being originally from he's talking about Saddam Hussein, George Bush. Like this guy is literally giving firsthand information about all that. So it's really.
I believe Bezmenov.
No, that's not Bezmenov. It's Ben Minash. Ari Ben Minash.
I thought you said Yuri.
Really,
these guys.
But the guy's book came out in '92.
But I mean, I'm just thinking of Poppy Bush. You know, this good the CIA group that we're seeing, you know, into this film, and you know, bringing it into the Rakana Shooter era and the Iran Contra as well. But Vietnam, William Colby, those guys kind of get this start in the 50s, right? The early 50s in the heroin trade there in Albania, right? Are you familiar with any of that work?
Yeah, but
JJ?
if we're talking about that, we can't forget about Paul Helliwell, because he's the one who started it all under Chiang Kai-shek when fucking FDR, the communist, turned his back on fucking his ally Chiang Kai-shek and backed Mao. You know, him and George Marshall. So, but Paul Helliwell was the first one
over there.
Opium
China,
Wars was
right?
in the 1840s, and that was FDR's granddaddy, fucking Wayne Delano, who was the U.S. ambassador to China, was running heroin. So,
so the same fucking group of clowns, bro. Who's your daddy and who does he work for? Right?
Yes,
Wayne
sir.
Delano.
Who's your daddy and what does he do?
Wayne Delano, though, he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was under John J. Astor, who was the first billionaire, allegedly, and that was all off the Opium Wars.
What, JJ, are those guys, any of those guys society members, Roosevelt's?
Yep.
They're Masons.
And yep. And not only are they society members, old Teddy is third cousins with Lee Harvey Oswald.
What?
I think they're Templars too.
So Lee Harvey Oswald was very likely a hereditary member of the Society of Cincinnati from his forefather, Major Joseph Oswald of the Georgia chapter. Joseph Oswald's other grandson, second great-grandson, is Teddy Roosevelt.
That's
then Roosevelts are connected to Clinton Roosevelt. Look up who Clinton Roosevelt's mentor was, and fucking he was one of the understudents of one of Weishaupt's second tier, I believe.
They're an early Dutch family. They're part of the New York chapter. Same as the Rockefellers. They dropped the N at one point. They were the Rockefellers. Same as the Astors, the Van Schulers, the Van Cortlands, the Van, insert Van and another surname.
Yeah. What's interesting, Hitler's grandma was the maid of Rothschild, I believe.
Right, and there's a conspiracy that Hitler's an actual Rothschild too, right?
Huh.
Yeah, there's also if you read the book Young Stalin, it talks about how Stalin might be a Rothschild too. Like his entire history is erased, but then he was a Union rep, allegedly according to this book. Again, it's called Young Stalin, but it goes into the way Stalin got all his fucking. He was a Union rep for Rothschild plant, but as we're looking into all this shit here, the one name that jumps out at me. One name that jumps out to me is we're looking into all this shit. It's Earl Bryan. Who the fuck is he? Because he seems to be such an instrumental part in the whole fucking.
Yeah, dude, and he mysteriously dies when he's about to get questioned. Right? They're like, "Oh shit, he died. Don't worry about it."
No, but he also was said to be the one that went to fucking Paris in October of 1980 to make sure that the hostages weren't released, right? But then he claims he wasn't there until the fucking April of '81, which was right after Reagan allegedly got shot. But that's a whole other story. But then he according to some of the research I've come across, so he went in front of Congress and said, "Oh no, here's my passport," and he doesn't even have a fucking stamp for when he says he was there. So like, is he just stupid and giving him the wrong passport, flying under different names?
Right. Earl Bryan actually died like literally 15 minutes from my house. He lived in this town called Easton, Maryland. So
who am I thinking of? He just died a few years ago. Who am I thinking of around the that same Reagan administration scandal in the 80s when he was going to get questioned for Iran-Contra? He just died. Oh, it was Bill Casey, William Casey, the former CIA director.
Yeah,
he died in the canoe.
Casey,
right?
No, that was Bill Colby, sir. And I alert you, we mentioned his name. The Bill Colby ball washers will be back.
Yeah, but they were all
William
kind of
Casey,
this conglomerate, right?
Well, William Casey, he did this thing for the UN where he made a giant factory on the Kama River in Russia, and fucking and it's like then later the Clintons renewed a bunch of money. They gave a bunch of money to that same factory in Russia that William Casey made, and that factory was making a supposed amount of UN trucks. But I don't think that factory was making UN trucks, and that I think that there's stuff going on with there was this thing that Cooper says about the fucking cattle mutilations, where he says that there is Tazaran coolant on the cows, a type of helicopter coolant, and that this helicopter coolant, when I traced it to a company that seemed pretty sketchy, but it was only a type of fluid used in 3 type of helicopters. One of them was the Japanese helicopter, and then I believe that the Russia, and I believe that there's some weird stuff going on. There's
This is Bill Colby.
Dude, there's a lot of weird shit going on there, bud. A lot of weird shit. It's all spook shit. It's all spook.
I dropped it in the chat, JJ. It's Earl Bryan. A little nice info there. Him being part of the Phoenix program.
Yeah, some of the antique spook stuff. They used to use, I think it was 26 calibers in their weapons.
So what are we looking at here, there, Landon? What do we got here, sir?
Well, this basically is just saying that Earl Bryan was kind of the money man for these black operations. Talking Iran-Contra, right? Mercado Shudo actually claims that him and Earl Bryan, they dropped off $40 million there in 1980. When was the hostages released, JJ?
You are correct, sir.
They were released in 81, January 20th of '81.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
So a little suspicious timing.
It was like 1201. It's like
right after old Ronnie got sworn in, right?
Right. Literally the minutes after.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
go ahead and let him go.
Political weapon, right?
You know, even that article that I shared with you, JJ, the Wired article. It's kind of funny. Why? Like,
I got that. I can bring that up next year. But let's look at one thing with Earl Bryan here. That's a good point you bring up, Landon. So in 1988, he purchases the United Press International,
UPI,
one of the 2 major American news wire services at the time, outside of Reuters, right, or AP, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So I believe this is a crossover with old Jeffrey Epstein, right? Didn't his buddy get involved with the purchase of this with the New York Post? Is Hoffenberger? Perhaps I'm mistaking it for something else, but yeah, old Jeffrey Epstein's, his buddy in his Ponzi scheme, Steve Hoffenberger. He purchased the New York Post there for a bit before he did a stint in prison. I thought he was associated with the UPI at one point, but I could be wrong. But it is interesting because obviously Earl Bryan's a major figure here in these hood rat shit scandals, right? And he's also a bag man, of course, as you pointed out, and he's controlling the narratives through the news.
Right. And Robert Booth Nichols as well. You got to add him. He's kind of the later version of the Earl Bryan, but he's kind of the mob liaison, right? Between
that's correct,
CIA and
I think
and we see all that mob stuff in the film when there's part of this conglomerate of nonsense and national security, but also look, it was not Epstein, it's the Unification Church, it's the CIA.
Right,
the
and
UPI.
you probably tie your process church in there as well with a lot of these characters. I'm assuming, you know what I mean. You don't have to
Well, I
look that
mean,
far, right?
yeah, I mean they're all Nazis, right? I mean they get along.
Know them
Basically,
by
at the
their
end of the day,
fruits.
bro.
Yeah, exactly. What'd you have there, Clint? What'd you have there, sir?
Know them by their fruits. The occult. That's what William Cooper says. He does.
Yeah.
He says try not to pay attention to the locations or the lodges or their names, but pay attention to what they believe and follow where it and see where it takes you, and that you'll find that they've mutated and they've see there's a law in nature of adapt or die, and that fucking they've adapted, that they've changed all these different fucking they've went through all sorts of fucking different cells and groups trying to find the best bullshit and fucking I think the most modern form of it is all this Baha'is stuff, which is crazy because I've only met JJ a year ago, and I've been on this Baha'is stuff for 17 years, and fucking, and he's got totally separate research. He comes to the same conclusions similarly with the Baha'ism. It's crazy. So again, there's some weird shit going on.
And well, it's
No,
not
that's a good
just
point,
money
sir.
in Iran Contra, right? You got the bioweapons labs as well, right? Bioweapon 1.
Well, yeah. Why don't you fill us in on some more of those
Biorad.
details? I know you've been hot on that track to the Iran Contra and Danger Man scandal, Mr. Michael Riconosciutos. So what else in the biolog? Because he was a chemist. He was making drug stuff. He had an underwater LSD lab for
Right.
hood rat shit operations for these networks.
LSD, right?
Right. Well, who knows what else they're cooking, right? But what he can cook up other stuff. What else was he associated with? First of all, if I may, real quick, Michael Riconosciuto, folks are not familiar, was making lasers for the U.S. Navy at the age of 14.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
I wonder if that was Michael Riconosciuto's lasers that got Ted twice. That'd be interesting.
That would be funny, wouldn't it?
So what is biowarfare stuff? That's often not described in these matters.
Right. You kind of had them.
If it goes into
on the DNA element, right? They were wanting to manipulate the DNA, and that's what you see today. Presently, I mean, we know technology's 30 years ahead or 40 years ahead, in some instances, but 30 years ahead with DNA altering shit. You get into Moderna and mRNA vaccines. Basically,
whoa, you can't say that, sir. I'm gonna drop some green slime on your head, dude. What's going on here? No, I'm just joking. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
no, that's some good points, dude. They're always trying to manipulate shit, dude. All these damn cultists and whatnot. They're always trying to. At the root cause of all these issues with any occult organization, they're always trying to give you the new human. They have different terms for it. They say different things, but it's always a more developed and evolved human, the new human. I believe the Scientologists call it Homo novus.
That's what they're putting That's what they're putting the cockroach DNA and the sugar and the
I don't want
tomatoes.
Pass.
They made it so it's like. They're using all these secret society stuff, the Theosophists especially. They admit, and the Masons as well, that they are controlling the evolution of man, not just the spiritual evolution, but the entire evolution. That's what their whole religion is about. And this, like when they refer to Lemuria and stuff, and all these different things, they're referring to different types of humans. That they believe that there was other types of humans and all this shit. Fucking it reminds me of how what's his name Headless Giant talks about that culture with the horses, and they're breeding the horses and shit and fucking.
Oh yeah, Schindler's List. Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't Schindler's List. Oh my bad.
Yeah, but
it's war on all fronts, right?
Well, they've done that with people.
JJ,
though,
can I get you to bring up Can I get you to bring up the screen I'm sharing right now? Because
absolutely. If I may put a book in statements there, Clint. Yes, sir. If I may put a book in on your statements, it's excellent points there, Clint. And I think we're in the environment. Old Bill Casey, we were just talking about. He was quoted as saying that this is the environment they intended. When everything Americans believe is false, our misinformation campaign will be complete. This is Reagan's CIA director. So.
Yep. Yeah, it's similar to what Whiteside says. He says, when we perfect the language, we'll be complete or some shit.
What validity do you have that for the Masons? Albert Pike's quote, if they need a hero, we shall supply him. Because I've heard different. Is it not real? Because I've heard. I mean, there's no real hard evidence of him writing them, right?
I wouldn't be too worried.
Well, the other thing is too is Vladimir Lenin has pretty much the exact same quote where he says, "When we need the opposition, we will control it." So it's kind of the same quote. But so from that Wired article that I sent on JJ, since we're talking about the bio stuff, I brought it up and zoomed in there. But so Brian formed Biotech Capital Corp, and it's a venture capital firm designed to invest in biological and medical companies, right? But then we go down to the next paragraph. Ursula Meese, who, like her husband, knew Brian from the Reagan cabinet, was an early investor in biotech, using $15,000 borrowed from Edwin Thomas, a Meese aide in the White House, to purchase 2,000 shares on behalf of their two children. And this was all brought up in his hearing for Attorney General as Meese. So that's fucking something that's really interesting. But you're
making some fantastic points here, sir. If I may just interject real quick. Did you know Danny Casolero's father ran a biotech company? But
you see here too, it says Brian is also invested in and owns several companies, including FNN, Financial News Network, and UPI, both with which ended up in dire financial straits. So again, too, that's all fucking stay behind. Fucking
Oh, you mean James Jesus Angleton, one of the nefarious characters in that unintelligent agency we call the CIA?
Yeah. So
yeah, grew up next to Casolero, and Casolero's sister dies in an alleged drug overdose in 1970 in the Haight-Ashbury, and old Danger Man himself was in the Haight-Ashbury at that same time. Doing COINTELPRO stuff.
Wasn't that
pull that document of the '68 film with him and Mr. Manson?
I believe it's June 15, 1967 at the Straight Theater, the opening night of the Straight Theater in Haight-Ashbury. You got the Grateful Dead, CIA Tavistock, then you got Michael Riconosciuto and old Charles Manson himself, all in the same place doing some shit.
And wasn't Joe Rogan also there as a child?
And Joe Rogan was there floating around like a baby Satan child.
Tom O'Neill just never. He refuses to say any of this.
Joe Rogan's original symbol was he had a symbol of chaos magic, and then when he got bought out by that
Spotify
that company or whatever, Spotify, he fucking changed the symbol, and then they got errated from the internet. And it's like, well, what the fuck? Where's that symbol at? I can't find the original symbol that I seen a long time ago.
You mean the chaos symbol, which is also the fucking what's it called there? The it's also the Wheel of Fortune.
The Wheel of Fortune. If I may, though, like you said before, Clint, judge them by their fruits, because look what Rogan hangs around with. It's neo-process, it's Thelemites, it's kid-diddling murderers like Damien Eccles or in his network.
Duncan Trussell.
Duncan Trussell's, Johnny Depp. The
not funny Duncan Trussell.
The not funny Duncan Trussell's, Marilyn Manson's, Doug Stanhope's. These are self-proclaimed Satanists amongst these crowds. So, and again, Eccles is a murderer and kid diddler, convicted. So, weird.
Yeah. Plus, you can tell Johnny Depp's like pretty hardcore drug addict because his teeth. If you look at his teeth, fucking the tops of them are all ground flat because he fucking sit there and grinding his teeth all the time.
Yeah.
No, but let's not forget in the Johnny Depp trial, it came out that fucking his bitch was the one that was selling fucking women to fucking Elon Musk, right? What's her name? Amber Heard was the
dude. She's some sort of kind of witch, right, dude? Right? She's some sort of witch.
She was pimping bitches to Elon.
Dude,
it literally came out in the trial.
Slanging it.
JJ, how come you think O'Neill doesn't actually include this in any of his work?
Because he's a propagandist. I don't know. He's I like to call him part of that process church cover-upper movement. He's got a lot of those kind of connections. Speaking of the Netflix documentary, the Diddler Network of Netflix, Netflix, the Obamas, the Cuties, Carlton Gadusik, his nephew, was the showrunner for season 1 of Stranger Things. Carlton Gadusik kidnapped about 50 Micronesian boys, brought him back to America in the 90s. No one cared because he worked for Tony Fauci. Yeah, the same Tony Fauci. But before that, he was connected to the Yonkers cults. They would later be incorporated within the process. Part of the process, church, is literally the process in which these spook operations would then envelop all of these other cults underneath their shit so they could run more hood rat shit. You know, gain a new following or crowd. For example, Joseph Smith didn't invent a new crowd. He just wanted to go steal someone else's congregation to start the Mormon church. You know what I mean? This is not a new thing. Marshall Applewhite would do the same thing, you know, go steal another cult's membership. So, you know, these are the way these things go. But nonetheless, we see a lot of that shit, you know, popping off around these matters.
With Gunderson, especially, right?
Hey,
well, I mean, look, he's probably shacking up with LaVey's ex-wife, the co-founder of the Church of Satan. That seems, I don't have concrete evidence, but it seems legit because she was a PI and a handwriting expert in Las Vegas at the same time Ted was. So, and let's be honest about the situation. They knew each other.
Hey, JJ, can I get you to just bring up the screen I'm sharing again? Because I just wanted it's still that Wired article, but it's kind of funny too because the lawyer for Hamilton was for Dick Steen, Shapiro, and Morin. But you see here, I'll highlight it. So Wired has been told by ex-Israeli spy Ari Ben Menashe, so the guy who's booked because I looked him up only because of that. But he's claiming that he was the one who was fucking paid by the CIA through Mossad to fire the lawyer for Bill Hamilton. So, I mean, it's pretty wild, some of the shit that this guy who's openly Unit 8200, openly Israeli spy network, and some of the shit that he comes up with as far as in his, so again, too, that's just some of the wild shit that goes on with this Promise network, right?
That's super wild, dude. And why is it all these weird, creepy cultists controlling the narrative, right? So we saw after Brian and UPI was the Moonies, right? Which they already have CIA origins of the South Korean varieties. But are you all familiar with the Moonies offshoot? Sean Moon, I believe is the son of Reverend Sum Young Moon. But he's got a Trump MAGA offshoot cult of the Moonies called Rod and Iron Ministries. They do a lot of ceremonies with, some weaponry. I don't discredit them for that. It's kind of Wahhabi if you look at it. You know, the Saudis, right? They're always firing shit in the air. But,
right.
It's just weird, dude. Like Donald Trump's got licensed guns he sells to these folks. Like he's licensed his name to put on their fucking guns. It's creepy.
But doesn't Trump, after like 2017, like after the Vegas shootout, he's wanting to ban the bump stocks, all this shit, right? So it's like it's multifaceted, I think, with
Well,
Democrat,
I think that was
Republican.
Yeah, well, it always is, but I think his statements on that were all just for show, right? Because he never followed up on any of that kind of stuff,
right?
Not
but
like
Obama into the consciousness, right?
Go ahead.
I was just saying it puts it out in the public conscious, the aura, I guess you would say, around.
Dude, I don't want any of that voodoo.
Talk.
I don't want that voodoo. What you
got,
Jim?
Have you ever looked at the Las Vegas shooting map?
Yeah.
Now, what's also funny about the Las Vegas shooting thing is, again, too, I've brought this up before, but
let's be honest. The Wahhabis like guns. We're talking Las Vegas shooting. We're talking Saudi royals. The Wahhabis like gunfire. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, no. But I was gonna say that piece of shit scumbag Jason Aldean.
Yeah,
he's got that.
He ended up. Dude, he was the one who was on stage when the shooting allegedly happened, and then if you want, I can pull up on my Twitter. I've showed JJ, I think, before. I called out the fucking Maui harvest event long before because Jason Aldean literally had a clip in his fucking video where he had the cops with wearing jerseys, and there was an 8, an 8, a 2, and a 3 on the cops' fucking backs. And his try this in a small town video. And I said, man, I could pull up my X account and show everyone. I don't give a fuck.
That was from the Summer of Love, right? That was his psychological music operations music video from the Summer, the Summer of Love, where Lord and Savior.
No, it wasn't the Summer of Love. It was in the 20. It was in 23 when they're doing all the primaries with Trump.
Oh, so this is the post Summer of Love. Summer of Love.
Yeah, the Summer of Love was 2020, right? When they did all the fucking Black Lives Matter.
The year of our Lord and Savior and Saint George Floyd.
Yeah. Which I mean,
dude, looking back, dude, shit got weird as fuck around here in America. And I don't know, I'm sure it did up there in Canada as well, but I wasn't there to witness it. I did witness a lot. I traveled a lot that year.
Dude, oh, wait. If we're talking weird shit, Summer loved in the 2020.
We're always talking weird shit.
So April 9th. If we're talking April 9th.
April 19th, you say?
No, that's
man, you're cutting out.
The fucking April 19th, Oklahoma City, Waco, blah, blah, blah. Did you know in 2020 there was a fucking mass murder No. But there was a mass murder in Halifax where a guy had a knockoff fucking RCMP car. He went around shooting 22 people dressed as an RCMP officer, and that happened on April 18th/19th.
Yeah, so, you told me about this, dude. I'd never heard about that before. The Halifax Howler, is that what we're calling them?
The Halifax RCMP, I don't know. He had a knockoff car. He had a knockoff uniform. Dude, he literally had the fucking provincial police pull up to him and shot them because they thought he was another officer, and then he just blasted the provincial police. So like that was, but then so things got a little wild up here too. So.
Yeah, well, it's a summer of love. we're celebrating. Celebrating our Lord and Savior, Saint George Floyd.
Well, and then on top of that too, so that was before George Floyd, though. Because remember, George Floyd was like May 23, right? So that was beforehand. But
this was the prequel.
Yeah,
I like it. It's the prequel.
But the other thing I will point out too, right? So if we go back to like the Egyptian or Babylonian calendar, or whatnot, right? April is the first month of the year, so then that's 1/19.
You are correct, sir.
So you think 9/11, you invert those dates. It seems like they're doing a lot of events on dates that are a combination of 11 and 9, or 1 and 9. You know, so you do 11 times 9, you get 99, which is like there's some weird numerology shit that way too, right? You know,
dude,
just pointing out.
And we get New World Order 9/11 with this film on 9/11, 1992, the year after old HW, George #1's New World Order speech. And they say New World Order in the film, dude. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Castlear dies in 91, and this is kind of the Castlear story, right? In a sense.
Well, plus there was some international.
Didn't Gary Webb die in 91 or 92 as well, though?
No, Gary Webb died in 96, I think.
There was
I thought it was 94 maybe. But isn't that weird? We get Tom Cruise not Tom Cruise. He's a different Scientologist shitcoating these operations with American Made. We get Jeremy Renner, who's kind of Scientology adjacent.
There was some British Israelism America stuff that was that had the dates from over 100 years ago on 9/11. Or roughly 9/11. British Israelism.
Christian identity is just an offshoot of it. British Israelism, right?
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of Christic societies.
Yeah, it is. So Christian identity started as part of that. So,
JJ, do you have the clip?
The British Israelisms, where the Crown of England thinks that it's one of the tribes of Israel, and that they're the Crown of England thinks that it's related to Jesus or something.
Yeah.
Do you have a source that they're not, Clint? You're out here making accusations. You got a source, bud?
Yeah, because
what's interesting because the French, their coat of arms is the fleur de lis, the 3 lilies, and that I mean, some would say that they are the I'm not saying that the story is real about related to Jesus or anything, because I think Jesus
said
might
that?
just be a symbol, but wait, who said what about the fleur de lis?
What happened?
The fleur de lis. It's like the societies that ran France and Germany, that they may have been the true quote unquote Merovingians, but in my theory, I believe that the Merovingian bloodline, quote unquote, was a bloodline of basically quasi Masonic brotherhood of a knighthood, basically. The knighthood.
My mistake. I thought you were talking about lasers.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Public safety announcement, Clint, and every folks of the interwebs. Ted got shot twice. No, dude, you're you're definitely onto something with these matters of this British Israelism and whatnot, and because their occult belief systems predate these terms. They go back further, but they obviously manifest through these same folks and bloodlines in these new organizations. So, if I may, though, if we appreciate you folks on the interwebs joining us tonight, and appreciate you gents joining us here on this discussion, this review.
But real quick, can I bring up the? Can you bring up the? I got that clip showing with Jason Aldean.
Yep, no, got plenty of time. I just wanted to say we're gonna be bringing this thing in for a landing, going around here. But I do want to get some. Got a question for you gents after we look at this clip, though, for sure.
So I just wanted to show this. So when I talk about Jason Aldean, you'll see right here. This was in his fucking try this in a small town video that everyone had so much fucking publicity for it. And why the fuck are these cops wearing jerseys with the numbers 8823 that literally appeared in his video? Then Maui event happened. So I like if you go to my Twitter, you can see that this was. Oh wait, you can see on the screen here. What date did I post this on? April 27th. That was a year after, but no.
Was it 9/11? Did you post on 9/11?
No. It's April 27th, 2024. So this is not the one that I posted. But I could actually go back and find ones where I posted it before the fucking Maui event happened, which is, it's just kind of funny that, he was on stage in Las Vegas. He's throwing this fucking date on all these cops. Like, when have you ever seen cops wear a jersey number like that, right?
Well, I would speculate that it was. I would speculate that the Vegas thing was more mafia, and that the I'm not sure what the weapon.
No, I'm saying
was, but so because they claim it was a bump stock, but bump stocks don't sound like that. They usually stop for a second. Fucking that on the videos.
Wait a second, Clint. Wait a second. If I'm hearing you correctly, you mean to tell me Stephen Paddock was not the lone gunman
and didn't carry
he was probably
10,000
dead
pounds of ammo out
before.
there?
The fucking mafia probably went up to the roof, knocked on his door, and went boom, and fucking.
Well, how about this one? The initial body camera footage of his room, there was no broken window.
No,
it was probably some kind of ultra sloppy hit on somebody in the audience.
Dude, the SWAT team broke out that window that everyone sees from the outside. The SWAT team did. That's in their own footage.
In the police radio is kind of shaky too, right, JJ?
Oh, dude, the whole story shaky, dude. That dude was never a licensed security guard. And he went on the Ellen DeGeneres show to sell his tail. Ellen DeGeneres owns the home of our, film's producer and screenwriter's aunt.
It's fucking propaganda.
Yeah, but not only
this shit is.
But not only does fucking Jason Aldean, who was the singer on stage,
allegedly might have been a hologram. I'm kidding.
But
trust the plan, brother.
He throws that 8823 in his video. But who the fuck is the head cop in Maui when that event happens? Oh yeah, the detective from fucking Las Vegas.
The same detective, bro. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, and fucking Jason Aldean.
Small network of scumbags
in his video.
Oh, for sure, dude. As we've discussed here this evening, we've painted out numerous instances where it's a small team of scumbags. You know what I mean? We see the Vegas guy, and then he goes to Maui, and then the Vegas sheriff's the governor now of Nevada. Go fuck yourselves, right?
His brother, Stephen Paddock's brother, gets popped for CP. And
my bad, Clint. I didn't realize you were back in there. CP stuff, yep.
Over in the Philippines.
Dude, that whole Paddock clan is spooked up, dude.
Do what, JJ?
All them Paddock boys are spooked up for big times, dude. Not just Steven. And their father was a most wanted on the top 10 of the FBI's most wanted. I'm pretty close to putting him in the same circle of friends with old Edward Wayne Edwards because they did a lot of the same shit. Old Ed was the number one on that list in 1961, the entire year of 1961, in fact.
So do you think Paddock was there do you think he was there? He was kind of like in this movie's projecting. You think he was kind of making this sale of the weapons, or was he wanting was it a test? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what's his angle, right? Paddock.
Oh, dude. I mean, it's William Casey was correct, dude. Once their disinformation campaign is successful, we won't have the fucking clue what's going on. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
and we don't believe the propaganda, so it's hard. You know what I mean?
This kind of goes back to that internet or the movie about the internet, where it's like That at the end of the movie, he's like, "This is all about. It's no longer about who's got the biggest guns and all this stuff. It's all about who controls the information." And this kind of brings up a point I wanted to bring up earlier, was that every director of every major corporate media outlet is a member of one or both the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, or Trilateral Commission. And fucking the Trilateral Commission's littered with Nazis and commies and fucking all sorts.
Well, dude, their logo is a swastika. I mean, it's pretty on your face when they get just Swatsy right in the face. Well, it's not like the process. They're like,
Well,
what do you mean
that's
the
NATO.
process are Nazis? When people ask me, I'm like, dude, it's in their logo, bud.
Look at NATO's logo, bro.
Look at Chase Banks' logo, the Rockefellers.
Yeah, Chase is connected
Swazi.
to the Nazis heavily.
Dude, again, it's in their logos, dude.
NATO, I mean, that's what that logo's it's a Nazi symbol too, right? It's a swastika.
Well, I mean, NATO
Yeah.
Nazis. This all computes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check the NATO and then turn it to the right, counterclockwise, like 45 degrees, and it makes a
it's
swastika.
in the inner lines of the.
Yeah. Once you see it, you'll never not see it. You know what I mean?
So we do see that at the end of the film, as you're pointing out there, Clint, the modern warfare of this Cold War is saying is going digital. It's all based on information, right? So that is the question I wanted to get your all's opinion on. So let me play this clip first here.
Yeah.
Janik's file.
This is a mathematician named Dr. Gunter Janik. Works at a think tank called the Coolidge Institute. Specializes in large number theory, prime numbers, factoring.
Cryptography.
Very good. Last month, the good doctor gets a grant. $380,000. Way out of profile for a guy like that. It's our job to be curious, so we trace the money. Guess where it comes from?
I know you're not going to say Russia.
Yeah.
God, give me a break. We won, they lost, you know. It's been in a couple of papers.
Yeah, we still spy on them, they still spy on us.
We understand the facts, man.
So that is the Cold War, and I would argue that the Cold War, the Nazis came over here and to Russia, and they've been perpetrating this national security state nonsense across the world on everybody ever since then.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Russians, Nazis, and this whole intelligence.
Dude, no one was watching the Nazis here in America in Project Paperclip. We know now they were writing the Nazis in Russia.
Oh, yeah. Well, Cooper's peak research.
They find Hitler's body, right? The Russians. I mean, come on.
Well, that was, they did a DNA test of the body. That was actually a woman's body, but Cooper's.
You're
peak
telling me
research,
Hitler was a woman, dude? Adolf Hitler was a lady?
No, he went to South America, but
you just said the Russians said he was a lady, dude. That's new information.
Well, when they DNA tested the jaw of the supposed body they found, same with some other guys that were Nazis.
I'm tracking. He's a transpocalypse. I get it.
Yeah. Well, so what was
Hitler the tranny? Is that what we're talking about? Hitler the tranny.
He was gay, right?
They called him
Shanty.
Shanty.
He did a lot of meth. I figure that's kind of with that culture, right? They're always doing poppers and meth, aren't they? Like that one Florida governor, right? Remember the Florida gubernatorial candidate that ran against Ron DeSantis from the DNC there? They found him passed out, all methed up and poppered out there with a gay hooker in Miami. You remember that incident?
No,
that's pretty funny,
dude. Andrew Gillum. They try to make him. They try to make him the governor.
Yeah,
it was one of those incidents. Remember that fat bitch Grimace from Georgia was going around saying she won the governor there. Well, this dude was trying to say it there, but then he wakes up. He's suddenly found
the president of the world for the Star
Wars.
Dude,
well, she eats enough for the world, sir. That is a she, but we see this fellow doing the same bit down there in Florida, this communist nonsense, and then he wakes up. We find out, one day, the Miami PD shows up to a hotel room. Seemingly, there was a lot of folks being tipped off in these circumstances, but none of them passed out next to the gay hooker on a hotel floor.
So
this is the almost governor of Florida. He was trying to force himself in there, Stacey Abrams style, just ramming her fat stuff in there.
Well, they had to put rectal rehydration Ron in though, because
I'm not saying he's any. I'm not saying he's a lot better, but I'm just saying that he's not. I don't think he's met out popper gay hooker.
And since Clint's brought up the whole thing about the technology,
you guys think I'm making this shit up? I'm pull this up.
I sent you the gay Hitler.
Real quick while you're doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure Al Gore's in the mix there somewhere. Yeah.
First off, sir, Al Gore invented the internet, and he solved global warming.
He created it with a giant processor.
So since Clint brought up information, etc., I'm just gonna bring this here. It's the top right corner here. It's BIRD, Israel-U.S. Binational International Research and Development Foundation. It was started by fucking Henry Kissinger. So we're gonna just go down here through the board of governors, which is kind of funny because it doesn't seem like anyone really ever talks about this shit. But you get the U.S. governors, right? Board of governors. So it's like Director Advanced to the Manufacturing National Program Office, National Institute of Standards and Technology, representing the Undersecretary of Standards and Technology, Department of Commerce. Then the next guy here is Department of State. Then the next one's Department of Treasury. So these are Senate appointed who are supposed to represent America, but this is an international research development that is with Israel.
Right.
It's BIRD.
So they basically don't have a job.
Yeah.
These aren't real jobs.
It's man, but
these are not real jobs.
As I scroll down, I want to show here too, right? So, like, this is U.S. BIRD representatives in the U.S. Cleveland, Ohio, the Ohio-Israel Chamber of Commerce, or, Denver, Colorado, Israel Chamber of Commerce, Philadelphia. So, again, you see all this stuff that, again, it's Henry Kissinger, and this is how they're backdoor into the U.S. technology through Israel to China. And grantees, you got General Electric, Applied Materials, here again, who was selling AIDS-infested blood to Europe. I guess I should get away from them, but I use all their phones because I just got convenient with them. But so again, too, this is when we're talking about data. It's not just the promise. It's not just variant. And look at some of these amounts here: $406 million in grant payments, 1,200 projects between U.S. and Israel companies. It's definitely something that everyone should kind of look into, because when we're talking about information and networks, and you got you got Pegasus, you got Promise, you got Variant, all these spy networks, or all these spy softwares are always American, but they're pushed through Israel.
What's Peter Thiel's
right?
Was it a paladin?
The reptile? Palantir? Oh. But
no.
His name's not Peter. The reptile.
The reptile.
Well, you make some good points. That is the pattern of behavior that is the pattern of behavior with the Israeli technology components of these spook operations as well. And let's take a moment to look at Henry Kissinger's wife. Isn't she a handsome gal?
Or
guy.
Let's not forget, though, too,
possibly
right?
Possibly a man.
You see like this Ukraine war too, right? And then what happens with the Ukraine war? There's Iran is fucking the one supplying drones to Russia, right? Well, how the hell did they get those drones? Oh yeah, they crashed under Obama and they got reverse engineered, but they're really just sold to Iran because Iran's
they keep rolling out that same playbook, dude. George Bush accidentally crashed a top secret surveillance craft in China, right? Back in like 2002. Then Obama's like, look, we're not very creative. We're going to roll out the same playbook.
What's the guy's name that crashed over there in
even if you look at
Russia, Jay? The pilot.
Gary Powers?
Before Powers, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gary Powers, that's right.
You're talking about that whole Lee Harvey Oswald situation.
Powers, I think.
So,
I think
isn't it interesting that if we look at... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Jonah.
I was going to say, I think his name was Powers.
Gary Powers, yes. Well, yes, sir. And if you look at that situation, right, so that we have another guy who's involved in all this Iran-Contra national security apparatus nonsense who knew Lee Harvey Oswald, who was involved in those same U2 matters, not just Kerry Thornley and Lee Harvey, right?
Yep. Over there in Japan, right?
His name's Patrick Gary Hemming. He served as the one of the technical advisors for Oliver Stone's JFK. Was really good buds with Mitch Warbell, kind of his sidekick. They were training those anti-Castro Cubans, but he also knew Lee Harvey.
Yeah.
So it seems like a small network, right? And speaking of small networks, what do you think went down in this dude's life when he woke up with the Miami PD, a methed out hooker, and some poppers laying around, right?
Didn't that hooker die though?
Oh shit, dead hookers! Watch out,
Jesus.
dude! Watch out. Peter Thiel's boyfriend took a 17-story nosedive down there in Miami not that long ago. So you gotta look out for these things. Not unlike lasers, you gotta look out for these things.
Yeah, Miami's probably pretty dangerous, I would assume.
Well, yeah, man, for sure.
Same with Fort Lauderdale.
Was it Robert Maxwell down there too, right? Wasn't he out of Florida?
There's a bunch of mafia down there. They take that road that goes to the islands. What's that road called? That goes
you know where Maxwell is buried?
At sea, right?
Nah, allegedly his body is fucking. Let me see if I can find it here. That Ben Minaj says he's entombed at like the holiest grave site in Israel. That's what this Ben Minaj says.
Xenu would not
I'm gonna
approve,
try to find
sir.
it.
As a proper Sea Org Scientologist, he must be buried at sea.
So I got a question about this for you guys. So with the whole Jew situation, what do you guys do? You think they're running?
Dude, coming in here dropping heavy J's, dude. You need a hood on, bro. I tell that to Harry all the time in the chat. You can't be doing that with a hood on.
Drew, the Drews.
It's the JQ.
Yeah, the JQs or the Drews. Do you think they're kind of like the scapegoat? Like I feel like because it's been pushed so hard, bro, they got to be a scapegoat. You know, for
dude.
upper echelons.
That's what I was saying before, dude.
Yeah.
You're spot on, sir. Because we look, it's the Rothschilds who created it. We got a Rothschild banker who's married to his dad's husband, wife, Macron, right? They're in France.
Yeah.
We got a Rothschild banker in Canada. I mean, Donald Trump got bailed out by the Rothschilds in the 90s, so we kind of got a Rothschild banker here situation. So a lot of Rothschild bankers in the mix.
They're all in
and
this
you get
Mesmer cult. It's like, because I mean, Weishaupt was the one that had the name on the European Illuminati, but I say that because I distinguish, because I believe that there's two Illuminatis, but the European Illuminati, Mesmer was a member, and he was into this psychological hardwiring of using primitive initiation techniques, and through existing secret societies, they interlaced a mixture of, through the cooperation of Carnegie and all these other high masons and all this stuff. They basically in 1782 in Europe, but they had joined Freemasonry with Illuminati of Weishaupts and Mesmers, and that this system that basically to put it all into one. If I was to put it into like 10 words, 5 words,
Put it into 10 words for us, yes, please.
There's a giant cult of these witchcraft star consciousness people
I agree with your statement, sir, but you've exceeded your 10-word limit, and by that measure, you have failed. No, I'm just joking. That was that is what's going on, though, dude. All these cult fuckers, they work together.
Yeah.
Hey, JJ, I found that quote from the book there. So it says, Robert Maxwell, whose body now lays in Judaism's most revered burial ground on the Mount of Olives overlooking Jerusalem's walled city. So I thought I thought they never found his body, but again, this guy is fucking.
Yeah, I thought he went over to sea, man. I thought he went on a Xenu mission at sea, dude.
That's what I thought, but let's be honest. Maybe he's giving away some information because maybe he just disappeared and got entombed anyways in their fucking burial site. You know what I mean?
Oh, they call that pulling a Jeff Epstein. So that's a good point you make there. They call that pulling a Jeff Epstein.
Yeah.
So.
Bro, have you seen that picture of him laying on that gurney? Epstein?
Yeah, dude. That is obviously not Jeff Epstein, dude.
Bro, who is that guy? Where did they get that body?
Well, dude, you need a body, dude. You can get your body.
But wait.
Could be wax.
Where do you get one, though? Like how do you
get
get a body?
Dude. I can get your toe by 2 o'clock. You need a toe, dude.
They 3D printed it. Shit.
I mean, like legitimately.
What about his two paintings, though, too, right?
Right.
He's got
How is
the one of George Bush playing with the planes.
How is
No,
the coordination?
that's the same artist. That, if I may, sir, that's the same artist, but he only owned the Clinton one. But it is the same artist who did that same painting.
Yeah, it's the thing
I
that they pulled.
I thought Epstein had both of them.
Well,
the thing
that was
they,
what was perpetrated on the interwebs, I believe. But I looked into it, and it seemed to be the same artist, just not owned by Epstein. Had some weird art. Don't get me wrong. Besides that Clinton shit, he had some weird art. But
I just found it weird. Like, where did they get that?
So that my joke. When they pulled the supposed Epstein out on the gurney, it was actually a cake.
I don't understand the joke, but
I was just thinking.
I missed but I appreciate
like,
the attempt.
I'm making fun of Danny DeVito on some TV show.
Oh. Well, it is interesting though, as we were talking about Epstein again, his only vineyard, not far from where old Buffalo Jared Revisa, that fella used to want to be my PR rep, who wanted to stab me a bunch of times and wear my skin as a human coat. That guy.
Can you
Les Wexner's that's Les Wexner's neighbor now. Les Wexner's neighbor. Go ahead, sir.
If we're going to be talking about
No,
go ahead, sir. What do you got?
I was gonna say, can you bring up that screen, because this is something that no one ever talks about too, right? But you see here, science philanthropist Jeffrey Epstein organizes a global doomsday conference in 2011.
Yes,
so, like,
I think that's an excellent point. He was very much involved in a lot of these matters, was he not?
Yeah,
Science, that is.
but
Science.
so this is like literally PR media, and it says that basically the symbolic doomsday clock 1 minute closer. So basically, it's all about fucking organizing. Like, here we go. It's the World Conference called "Coping with Future Catastrophes." Like, what? Why the fuck is this guy running this shit when he's already a convicted diddler?
Right. Speaking of that,
after he was a convicted diddler, he's financing the MIT Media Lab, which brings us Reddit. Ghislaine Maxwell just happens to be the number one commenter and moderator on Reddit. She comments a lot of kid diddling stuff on there under the name Maxwell Hill. That account hadn't posted in 5 years until she got a computer, it seems, the other day when she met with the DOJ, and suddenly it posted. That's strange. But we see Epstein financing video games, psychopathic AIs. And again, I would argue he's at the early onset of that Reddit financing with Aaron Swartz out of MIT, who just happened to die of a mysterious death himself.
It's
yeah, and let's not forget about his Harvard office too, right?
Dude, him and Dersh, dude, they like to hang out at Harvard. Him and Dersh.
No, but you got to actually. I'm pulling it up right now because I don't want to get it wrong, but.
Does it involve meth poppers and a gay male prostitute from Miami? If it doesn't, it pales in comparison to Andrew Gillum's story. I'm just saying, sir.
Have you seen the rise of the Pritzkers?
Where his office was located. Right?
Oh, well, that's interesting.
His office was located. Here we go. A straight eugenics bullshit. So it's the Program for Evolutionary Dynamics. Was where he had his office at fucking Harvard.
Oh wow! So it's
a lot of brain stuff. Doing a lot of brain stuff as well, right? Doing a lot of brain stuff there, right?
It's the transgender agenda, right? You see that?
Oh yeah,
you see that with the Pritzker family. Me and I think it was.
You're gonna tell me that's not a lady, dude? That Pritzker guy is not a lady? You tell me
that's the family that I'm working on a show for the Pritzker breakdown, but that's the family you're not supposed to speak about. So yeah.
But let's go ahead to the Standard Hotel, right?
Well,
the Standard Hotel, which says to have those. Go ahead.
Well, one point I want to bring about Cooper's research, what having to do with what you just said, is that Cooper said he's quoting this UN shit. The UN was saying that they were misusing the term genocide and applying it to being used as racism or some kind of hate crime or something. That in modern
get your hood on,
times,
Clint. Don't be talking these things without your hood on, bud.
well, in modern times, that if you quote unquote misgender a person, that they will say that you have genocided them, and that this is the same language that the UN was using in the 90s for the same subject, and that this language.
Are you trying to tell me it's a crime, dude? Are you trying to tell me it's a crime if I don't recognize the beauty of U.S. Army Colonel Jennifer Pritzker here? Is that what you're trying to tell me? I've committed a UN high felony. Is that what you're saying?
That name does not.
That's what.
Dude, I mean, U.S. Army Colonel Jennifer Pritzker did that. You're telling me that's not a woman. You're going to sit there and tell me this is not a lady.
The UN engineered the language. The UN made it all happen. It's crazy.
The Pritzkers are the Hyatt family, right?
That's the Hyatt Hotel.
But,
and they're in the
Ukrainian.
Ukrainian
Jews
to
as well. Truce.
Let's go. Let's go to.
I would say Jennifer Pritzker. I would say I'd like to see.
Right.
Well, if I may, sir, I'd like to see Jennifer Pritzker in some sort of beauty competition with our former Deputy Health and Human Services Secretary, because those two women, they're handsome. They can throw Henry Kissinger's wife in that same contest.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. What were you saying?
What's his name?
Dr.
Dennis
the Standard Hotel, right? So they're. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Dr. Dennis Cuddy was in those articles that he does about the Nazis are crazy about South America and Mingler, because Mingler was going in South America in the 60s and 70s, cashing all these
Mangala,
checks,
you mean?
doing all these surgeries and stuff, and fucking and he was also involved with administering hormones to pregnant mothers to their infant child a month before delivery, to give them the opposite hormone of what the child was. And so when the baby would come out, it'd be all messed up or something. And like fucking Mingler was involved with this shit.
Yeah, dude. It's all the same shit, right, dude? It's all the same shit. It's an excellent point, Clint. I appreciate that. That is a good point. It was all Nazi shit. It's all Nazi shit.
But do you see?
Yeah,
do you
what
see
I
how
wanted
it
to
works
bring
with
up though
the
too.
Pritzkers? They're being brought in the spotlight now. It's the timing that's weird. That's what I'm saying. Are they this sacrificial lamb that they're pushing out to us? You know what? I don't know. That's where my mind goes with it. Because you've never seen them on the Tonight Show until literally this week. Like, nobody knows who they are, bro. They're the 8th richest family in America.
Wait, who? The Hyatt?
No, the Pritzkers.
You tell me, Colonel Jennifer Pritzker. Illinois' next Miss America is what you're telling me right now.
Well, they run Northwestern.
But hey, I just wanted to throw out though too, right? You have the Pritzkers family and all the weird shit with their hotels. Then you have the fucking Standard Hotel, which is said to have those fucking tunnels underneath and also tied to that buck. But does anyone else think it's fucking odd that like the Standard Hotel people also died in a helicopter crash? They're leaving from John Wayne Airport, just like Kobe Bryant.
Nothing to see here. It's totally normal. Totally normal.
Yeah. Hey, wasn't Kobe Bryant
like that in
to
helicopter crashes every day? You know,
wasn't Kobe sent to a Pritzker hotel? Hey, wasn't that a Pritzker hotel that Kobe got caught and had to buy his wife the $7 million fucking diamond ring? I think it was in Colorado.
That'd be interesting because these are all blackmail ops, right? I mean, look at the Mormons, dude. The Mormons have the what's the Mormon hotels? I'm an expert on these things. No, that's not it. The Marriott. If you go to the Marriott hotel chains, you'll find a Book of Mormon, dude. You'll find Joseph Smith's book right there.
Whoa. I've been to a Marriott hotel before.
Well,
it did seem
they have footage of you, Clint. They have footage of you, Clint, in the vault in the mothership in Salt Lake City. So just beware.
But I think Chicago Pritzker, that whole mob connection really plays a large role into what we're seeing today. This is the present day mob, in my opinion. This is how they're operating with Cook County, which is the mob. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's who runs
Cook County.
Well,
you say Cook County?
Well, if I may, I think that's a good point. But I think it's what we see in the film, right? We see the machinations of this spook stuff with the mafia stuff running this national security state stuff. And that's what we're seeing here with the Pritzkers and Epstein and Maxwell and all these cult fuckers and whatnot.
They're the same fucking thing, bro. The FBI and the
Same
mob.
fucking
They're the
thing,
same
dude.
fucking thing.
It's like that meme I see on Twixter all the time. All them Spider-Men are pointing at each other and they're all saying FBI. They're all Spider-Men.
Yeah. It's like nobody knows if all their undercovers are working, are loyal to America, or if their undercovers are all working for the mafia.
Dude,
It's like
they
the
don't even
mafia
know
gets
that
better
themselves,
benefits, probably.
Yeah,
or they're
dude, they all
there's
do.
probably their own.
Yeah, they're always backstabbing each other, jamming each other up and stuff, dude. It's who knows who's working for who. You know what I mean?
That's the bloodlust, right, JJ? That's I was alluding to earlier. That's the you'll never
Well,
have
dude, because
one
everyone's
centralized
saying
power.
Epstein works. Go ahead.
No, I was just you got it. I was just saying you'll never. I mean, you'll never have one centralized power because there's always going to be a feud for the top.
Yeah, it's the Highlander.
Well, yeah,
man.
but look at Epstein. That's a good point, dude. Let's do some Highlander stuff.
Let's do it. The Highlander.
No, look at
man.
Epstein. So
yeah.
Epstein, everyone's like, "Oh, he's a Mossad agent, he's CIA." Well, dude, he had another identity and a Saudi Arabian passport that he was traveling on. So why are they not involved in this conversation?
I mean,
Right.
Saudi Arabia, September 11. What? I'll shut up.
Tim Osman.
Well, there was connections
Old
between Al Qaeda and the Nazis.
Wait.
Dude, Al Qaeda are Nazis, dude.
All the passengers, the ones whose passports, then they all came out of Saudi through John Brennan, right? Wait,
Yeah,
what?
Yes, sir.
What?
Yes, sir. Well, gents, if I can bring this in for a landing and give you all a moment to provide any closing
I don't want no
commentary
crash
or statement.
landing.
Let's
I don't
not
want
do
no
that.
crash
Let's not do that. Let's not do that at all. But let's bring this in for a landing, and I'll let you all provide any closing commentary or any plugs for your shows and whatnot. I do appreciate you gents joining me here to get a little GCD, and I appreciate you folks of the interwebs joining us here to get a little GCD on these matters tonight. A little roundtable, spooky operations, Promise Software, Inslaw, and a 1992 cinematic masterpiece, Sneakers. Landon, can you start us off, sir? What do you got for some closing statements? May or may not be Nazi related. You don't have it's not mandated.
No, I'll make it short, simple, and sweet, man. This movie really just identifies the overwhelming, I guess you would say, conglomerate of these CIA old boy networks, the spook. It's kind of just put into the subconscious, I think, of today. You know what I mean? Of what we see going on. This was kind of the framework of the surveillance state. As it gets worsened, that's really all I have. It's basically it. It was
That's
just
an excellent point, sir, and I appreciate it.
The plans.
That's a good. I apologize for stepping on there. Yeah, they are showing their hand a bit, right? They're kind of bragging, right?
Yep, right in your face.
So, speaking of in your face, what are your thoughts on Colonel Jennifer Pritzker?
I think she's a lovely man,
handsome lady, right? Handsome woman, man. Yeah, I bet Emmanuel Macron would be into her. What are your thoughts on that?
Probably. Maybe we could get Kansas over to lead us down that trail. I don't know.
I think the answer was false. It was a trick question, sir, because Jennifer Pritzker is not Emmanuel Macron's dad, and I think that's a mandatory aspect of that marriage. He's married to his husband, man, father, wife. They're all Rothschilds, man. It's all weird, sick shit,
Pretty much. That's what
old
you
money,
find, right?
Yeah, old money, sick shit. So now I appreciate it, Lena. That's good. I appreciate your time, sir. Do you have any plugs for the Daily Dissident there for folks to check out?
Yeah, you can find me wherever you guys get podcasts at the Daily Dissident. We look forward to seeing you guys. We've actually had some increase in some numbers, so super excited. We got some more people on board, and hopefully everybody likes what we're rocking with. So we'll keep it going.
When may I expect to hear some of this bio-warfare, Iran-Contra, Michael Rakana-Shudo business? That sounds interesting.
Well, I'm working on two different pieces that I kind of want to drop in several episodes, but one of which being the whole Iran-Contra, Rakana-Shudo. Just like I got 2 episodes done already. Just kind of waiting to lay them out on a timeline. But I'm doing a Pritzker one as well, just kind of doing a deep dive on them. So
don't go too deep. Colonel Jennifer Pritzker, you want to go too deep.
Yeah,
well, thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time, and I'll put your links in the show notes here. And what do we got here, Troublemaker Jonah? I appreciate your time, sir, and your review here this evening. Thanks again for joining me to get a little GCD. And looks like we got a little blackface going, Eddie Murphy style.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd in Trading Spaces.
Dan
Great
Aykroyd,
fucking-
huh?
Dan Aykroyd.
You mean to
Mr.
tell me?
Blackface.
You mean to tell me that Pierre Trudeau's advisor, son, likes to do blackface, and that's not, can't be right because Justin's not Pierre's son, but he does like to do blackface. He's a Castro, though.
Well, I'm looking at this and I'm just wondering if maybe this is how Eddie Murphy got into Tea Girls. You know what I mean? Maybe he had his turn with Dan Aykroyd and blackface, and that's how he got into the Tea People. But Dan Aykroyd, good old Canadian SCTV. He did some great shit with that. Anyone who hasn't seen SCTV, it's a must. Right now,
Must see TV.
SCTV is amazing. Second City, but
yes, sir. Do you have any closing thoughts on the film this evening, or any of the commentary? Doesn't have to be Nazi related. It's not mandated.
I mean, again, too, I highly recommend the Ari Ben-Menashe book. I didn't even know it existed until this week, and I found that Wired article, which, again, if you want to throw that in the links, too, and even that Marshall, The Last Circle that I threw up there, all of those have great, but, I mean, again, too, I don't necessarily recommend his stuff all the time because, if you watch Brendan O'Connell too much, you might, he kind of go off the rails. But he's been talking about the Israel Kissinger subversion of American technology for decades, right? And again, too. You see all this stuff, and at the end of the day, I think a lot of this too is it's not necessarily, when it was pushing this shit, it's not necessarily, what was I don't know. I just love talking brain farted, so I'll drop off and let Clint speak. You can find me on Clint's show often, and I talk some. I got a foul mouth. I admit to it. So sometimes I talk a little wild, and but you'll see me on Clint's show often, and that's I need to get around.
I respect your language and your opinion there, sir. You're a man with a lot of details. Appreciate your time and review tonight. You brought many details as always.
On, right? We gotta get that Roy DeMeo on.
Dude, I will get back to you on that for sure. I read that file you sent me on the FBI file. Very interesting stuff. So absolutely tune in soon for that one. And Clint, thank you, sir, for joining us here tonight to get a little GCD. Can you offer any closing statements on tonight's conversation? I didn't mean to cut you off, Jonah. Did you have another remark?
No. I was gonna just ask you, did you see the fucking the one clip that I sent you though, where I was just hand notes of the evidence that was seized from the DeMeo? But I will save that for another time because that's some wild shit, and that's in like the first 20 pages of the fucking FOIA. There's 5 documents on it.
Yeah, dude, it's very interesting stuff. So no, I'll get back to you, sir, on scheduling that for sure. Absolutely. So, and Clint, thank you, sir.
I won't drink any peroxide beforehand, though.
Oh, dude, I was going to send a team of Muppets out there to find you, dude. I was going to send a mob of Muppets on a search party.
Oh, yeah. These days, you could probably pay somebody to do it. They'd probably do it these days. Wear the costumes and shit.
I gave you my direct phone number up.
Those are furries, Clint. Those are called furries.
Well, if we're going to do furries, we're also going to talk brownies. But Clint, what do you got there, sir, on some closing statements on tonight's conversation?
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. Definitely got to check it out. It's very elaborate. It's pretty well written, but like the type of shenanigans, because they use these type of cell phone things that you seen in the movie. He had a payphone hooked to a briefcase with a computer thing with a keyboard. That's some old school hacker shit. And fucking there's a lot of old school hacker shit in the movie that's pretty interesting. And fucking
well, that's a good point, because they're hacking shit in December of 1969, right? So that's some early shit, right?
Oh yeah.
Can I play off of what Clint's saying there real quick?
You're going.
You know what movie's absolutely fantastic, but then when you watch it today, you're like, God damn. Falling Down. When you watch that today, you're like, because the cops have to keep going to the fucking payphones. I'm like, this is like Falling Down is one of the greatest movies, but you can't make it today because all the cops would have a cell phone.
Well, I reciprocate Michael Douglas's sentiments in regards to McDonald's and their breakfast hours. Especially post-COVID, they were doing 24/7 breakfast, dude, and then they stopped doing it, dude. And I'm still butthurt. So,
no, they do that here.
Well, that may be the first time I've ever said this, or that sounds like one aspect Canada's beating America.
And Putin. Not Putin, but Putin.
So, Clint, where can folks check out more Third Assassin and matters such as these we've discussed tonight, and a lot of matters such as the U.S. Constitution, right? Over there on Third Assassin.
Yeah, I guess I didn't want to say to the audience, about the Constitution and it's like all this spook stuff is technically all unconstitutional, and then
dude,
basically,
for sure, dude.
Yeah, and freaking it's like all these people have all given up. See, it's like there's this thing called the 100-Year War that the communists and socialists wanted to create, and it was a psychological war, and they wanted to make people believe that there was no hope except to accept socialism. And
Are you sure this war didn't involve lasers?
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Yeah, you got twice, dude. You got to watch out. So you're saying this is a communist Nazi agenda that's long-term, kind of Fabian socialist, if I'm hearing you right.
Yeah, it's all psychological. That's why the movie was interesting. Because at the end, it's like it's all about not whoever's controlling what's being seen by people. Because these young people we see and shit, they're all they see this shit. They think the world is made out of the fucking internet, and that there's things that aren't on the internet that exist in the real world. People are totally out of
dude, that isn't real, dude.
Dead internet theory too, right, Clint?
Right. No, dude, that's a good point, dude. That is the nature of controlling reality. We see that here with the folks owning UPI, like Earl Bryant, and then the Moonies and shit. All these damn cultists doing this stuff.
Can I add one thing?
Hoffenberger.
Yeah, also have
Hoffenberger. Is what you need? You need
the Rothschilds own Thomson Reuters, right? And then the Rockefellers with their conglomerate.
Dude, and Getty Images, dude.
When they bought up all the Hearst images or whatever, when they bought up the 25 largest markets in the U.S., the Rockefellers and fucking Hearst in that, So that was that was in the 1920s when they bought up like 25 largest markets so they could just control the U.S. media, right?
Yeah, dude, for sure. And today now we have Getty Images controlling almost all images of everything. And thankfully, we can go on the interwebs and look at Henry Kissinger's handsome man wife on GettyImages.com.
Right. Earl Bryan. One thing I want to say real quick. I'm actually running down a lead of Earl Bryan's tennis coach. So
that's interesting. Are you challenging him to a match?
No. Just to see if he had any thoughts or opinions or anything you might have ever heard.
Oh, I like where your head's at, sir. That'll be interesting for sure. Well, on that note, gents, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me to get a little GCD, and folks of the interwebs, thank you all for joining us here tonight to get a little GCD, and catch Operation GCD Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow here on all these streaming area platforms and on the Patreons there. Links in the show notes for all these gents and Operation GCD. And tune in tomorrow night for more stories about Ted and lasers.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
And on that note, we'll catch you next time.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your six. Look in that garbage can, 'cause you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.